Chapter 1260. It was already May 24th when they returned to Earth. During the Great War of the Three Realms, Earth was also in turmoil. Mountains collapsed and the ground cracked. Earthquakes and tsunamis continued. However, when Fong Ping and the others returned, they also discovered that Earth was different. The energy was richer, much richer. It felt even richer than the catacombs. The ground was firmer. The land was even spreading toward the sea, showing signs of growth. A group of powerhouses had survived a disaster. As soon as they returned, they looked at each other and began to pant. Dragonborn smiled bitterly. I thought Sai. He did not expect it. He really did not expect it to develop to this point in the end. The outside world thought that Fong Ping wanted to kill venerable emperors. They thought that Fong Ping wanted to kill saints. Who knew that in the end, he killed a total of 10 heavenly kings. Even Emperor Slayer, Emperor Ping, was almost killed. Of course, no one was sure how much this almost was. Whether that G guy almost died or he was pretending, it was hard to say now. Fong Ping smiled. I didn't expect it either. I originally wanted to kill a few saints. Who knew that so many things would happen later? Heavenly King Jin complained. In these 3 months, this old man has fought more times than in the past 8,000 years. Yes, it was only 3 months. It had really surpassed the battles in the past 8,000 years. It was more dangerous and exciting. Having said that, he looked at Fong Ping and frowned slightly. Your Tao collapsed again. Again. This word made everyone's teeth ache. It collapsed again. Fong Ping collapsed his Emperor Tao last time. This time his Emperor Tao collapsed. Anyway, it often collapsed. He did not die even when it collapsed. He was still alive and kicking. This Tao was like a game. Fong Ping smiled. If it collapsed, then so be it. With the origin in hand, I can replace Daos. It's not a big deal. Didn't you take 3 Saint Daos this time? Just give me one. The rest. Fong Ping turned his head and looked around. Soon, he looked at Celestial Emperor Xianji, who entered the human world with him, and smiled. If Senior Xianji thinks it's okay, then you can try replacing Saint Daos. Xianji was also a veteran venerable emperor, but he had not advanced to Saint Realm. Fong Ping was not sure if he wanted to go by himself or was willing to replace Daos. Xianji hesitated for a while and said, I'll think about it. Fong Ping nodded. He did not insist. This was not something that could be forced. Without further ado, Fong Ping took another look at the old man on Shen Haoyan's back. Fong Ping was not too familiar with him, but he recognized him. He was the Meng family's elder ancestor from Polaris City. This time, old Zhang had severed the apex Tao, and the one he had severed was the Meng family's patriarch. Fong Ping had heard of the Meng family's patriarch's origins. A powerhouse from 1,000 years ago, a resurrected martial artist, the powerhouse that unquestionable Jian brought into the catacombs to battle back then. In the end, he died in battle and was resurrected. Among the resurrected martial artists, he was also the only powerhouse to reach the impasse realm. He wasn't an antique, but he was still young. At this moment, seeing Fong Ping looking at the Meng family's patriarch, old Zhang laughed and said, Stop looking! Back then, old man Meng took the path he took before he was reborn, but it wasn't his own path. I was thinking that since the path he took was also an external path, I could try another path. I just don't know if it will work. I didn't completely destroy his Tao foundation. If it was completely severed, Patriarch Meng would probably die. The foundation was still there. The so-called foundation was that small source world. Fong Ping saw that Patriarch Meng was already unconscious and said in a low voice, We can try, but we can't guarantee success. If we succeed, the other rank 9s who have broken their Tao can try. I still have some Tao at the pinnacle. If we can't, that's fine too. We can keep our lives. If we can't cultivate the origin, we'll go to beginner martial. At most, I'll go to beginner martial and ask for some treasures. Everyone nodded slightly. It would be best if they succeeded. Those rank 9s were not sure if they wanted to change paths before. After all, the path they took was still different. However, at this point, if it was possible, then there would be more impasse realm representing the human race. Fang Ping still had some pinnacle Dao in his hands. However, it was too difficult to extract Dao. He had killed many powerhouses these days, but Fang Ping did not have time to collect their Dao. He could not guarantee that their Dao would not collapse. The end of this battle was of great significance. Heavenly King Jin continued. After this, the war probably won't break out. Don't jinx it. The God Creation envoy said bluntly, a few days ago after the battle with beginner Marshall ended, they said that there was no war in the 3 realms. How many days has it been? In the blink of an eye, a war that engulfs the 3 realms broke out. It won't break out again. You guys take it easy. He did not believe these guys now. After the battle in the fake heavenly tomb, they said that there was no more battle. After killing the 5 beginner martial saints, they also said that there was no more battle. But now, even the emperor had been beaten out. Heavenly King Jin was also very helpless. How would he know? He just felt that there was no war. Who knew that it would be like this? This time, he did not expect to fight to this extent. Now that he thought about it, he sighed and said softly, in this battle, many old friends have died completely. Weapon Master, Origin Hua, they could be considered old friends. Sky Chief and these people were also familiar in the past. The old people are getting fewer and fewer. After the battle, the heavenly kings who died were almost all people he knew. Only the juniors, like Heaven's Mandate, were not too familiar, but he had seen them a few times in the past. In the blink of an eye, they were all dead. The 8 kings and 36 saints were probably going to become a thing of the past. Qian, Kuan, and Zhen were still alive. The others were all dead. Among the 36 saints, Fang Ping had collected 31 saints' tokens. Now there were 34. King Kuan had one, which meant that only one was alive. Fang Ping did not think of it before, and thought that it was in the hands of the emperor. Now that he thought about it, wasn't it in the hands of Tianbai? The divine sect's 3 great sect guardians were all members of the 36 saints. Among them, the sect guardian Tianbai was still alive. This time, King Kuan and the others came to participate in the battle. Those saints and venerable emperors did not come, so he escaped the disaster. This also meant that Tianbai was actually the last survivor of the 36 saints. Not counting the last survivor, there were still 3 saints under Sky Chief who were alive. However, the saints' tokens were lost. It could only be said that Tianbai was now the real 36 saints. After all, the saint's token was still in his hands. Even so, only 4 of the 36 saints survived. Among the 3 envoys, the weapon master died completely in battle. The Sea Guardian established himself as the Demon Emperor. At this moment, several old antiques looked at each other and sighed. The ancient heavenly court has completely collapsed. The influence of the ancient heavenly court was too great. Today's heavenly kings and saints were almost all from the ancient heavenly court. However, after this battle, the ancient heavenly court was considered to have completely come to an end. The old people sighed. Fang Ping, on the other hand, did not have so many feelings. Those people were all enemies in his eyes. One dead meant one less. At this moment, Fang Ping did not have time to be sad. He said, although the emperors have sealed themselves for 3 years, who knows if it's true or not? These people can turn against each other easily. Everyone still needs to pay attention. It's fine if they are together, but once they are separated, who knows if they will be ambushed? Also, old Zhang said before that after this, the emperors will definitely guide the 3 realms to continue to develop in the direction they expect. Among the powerhouses of the 3 realms, many of them are the emperor's people. There are even disciples and descendants. No one can guarantee what will happen to them. Moon Spirit, Celestial Pole, Hong Kuan, Hong Yu, and those saints, they are all hard to figure out. Fang Ping did not say some things. There were still many people on their side. Dragon Transformation, Lin Zi, Lin Hai, the two saints of Immortal Inquisition Island, Water Power, and Heavenly King. These people were inextricably linked to the ancient times. How could they break away from them, just like that? This time, the three realms wanted to kill the emperors. Some people were also forced to do so. There was no other way. At that time, those who had broken 8 were tempted. Those who had broken 7 were also tempted. Even if some of them were unwilling, they had no choice but to participate in the war, lest they were killed by these red-eyed fellows. But would they really break away from the emperors? No one could guarantee this. Fang Ping continued. So, cultivation is still the main thing next. After so many battles, we have gained quite a lot. There are also many war dividends. In addition, the outside world is afraid now. So, we still have to cultivate hard at this time. Zhang Tao said faintly. Every time we are ready to cultivate, who is the one who starts the war? Fang Ping rolled his eyes. If I didn't fight these few battles, we wouldn't be in this situation now. Before this, we still had to be on guard, but now, unless the emperors appear again, otherwise, what are we guarding against? After this battle, other things aside, at least the junior martial artists will not have too much conflict with us in the short term. As he said this, Heavenly King Subduer said in a low voice, Fang Ping, don't think too simply. This old man was also a junior martial artist back then. It's not that it's bad, but these junior martial artists are also very chaotic now. Those of the older generation were about to go crazy, especially those in the Heavenly Tomb. Most of the second generation junior martial artists want to kill the cat and break the origin. And the third and fourth generation are even more chaotic. There might even be internal strife. Fang Ping was stunned. Heavenly King Subduer said in a low voice, Do you think there are no factions in the junior martial artists? No internal strife? You only see a part of it. But have you seen the junior martial artists who walk the path of origin? As soon as he said this, Fang Ping could not help but raise his eyebrows. There are many junior martial artists in the third and fourth generation who walk the path of origin. There are also powerhouses among them. I say the third and fourth generation, but they are also old people from tens of thousands of years ago. These people also have Heavenly King existences. But in this battle, have you seen anyone fight? There are also endless internal strife among the junior martial artists now. Heavenly King Subduer said solemnly, Don't be careless. Walking the path of origin, cultivation, is fast. This is a fact. The lineage of origin has already penetrated deep into the junior martial artists. It's just that some old antiques are suppressing it, so it doesn't let the origin completely occupy the junior martial artists' inheritance. But this time, Yuan Hua died in battle. A breakthrough, 8 died. If things go wrong, there might be trouble. Therefore, the attitude of the junior martial artists is uncertain. Don't think that you've really become an ally. You said that humans walk the junior martial path. Of course, the underworld god and the others are happy, but it doesn't mean that others are happy, understand? Fang Ping rubbed his temples, nodded, and smiled bitterly. I'm thinking too simply. After all, the junior martial artists are fighting for the top. Even some of the junior martial artists who came to participate in the battle today might not have no other thoughts. It's good that you know what you're doing. Heavenly King Subduer reminded him and said, But you can still get in touch with the underworld god, Sky Arm, and the others. Those in the heavenly cemetery. It's hard to say. These people are much crazier, or else they wouldn't have been suppressed. How should I say these people? Heavenly King Subduer thought for a while before saying, Let's put it this way. They're either black or white. Fang Ping raised his eyebrows. Zhang Tao laughed. You mean they're either the origin or the junior martial path. So the origin lineage should all die no matter who they are? Is that so? That's right. Heavenly King Subduer nodded. That's right. If the humans walk the junior marshal path, Skyarm and the others don't really care if you powerhouses leave or not, but those few, I'm afraid they'll force you to walk the junior marshal path. If you don't, you'll die. Heavenly King, Subduer, shook his head. These people are considered old and stubborn, the kind that won't change. The origin isn't completely useless. You guys have to understand this. If it's really useless, how can it become the mainstream of the three realms? But those few fellows mean that the origin is completely useless. They reject you completely, and there's no room for compromise. That's probably the situation. Fang Ping was speechless. This kind of people is indeed difficult to deal with. Now that you put it this way, I understand why they have to be suppressed. This is not suppression. Once they leave the mountain, they'll probably kill those who encounter the origin, regardless of whether they're good or bad. Is that what you mean? Something like that. Fang Ping smiled bitterly. If that's the case, the junior marshal path isn't as united as we thought. There are many internal conflicts too. That's for sure. Heavenly King, Subduer laughed. The junior marshal path isn't completely unified. There are so many powerhouses who have broken through 8. How can there not be factions? The humans here are actually much better. First, there's a great enemy. Second, you and Zhang Tao rose up one after another and suppressed everything. If you didn't rise up and Zhang Tao died in battle outside, look at it again. That wouldn't be the situation now. There's so many powerful enemies in the three realms. The enemy is so big, and there's no way to resist. At that time, would there still be a situation where everyone is united? So you and Zhang Tao either don't die, or at least one of you dies. If both of you die, it'll be a mess. Fang Ping rolled his eyes. Jinx. The old man was cursing them. They were not good people. Too lazy to continue the conversation, Fang Ping said quickly, everyone's injuries aren't light either. Those who need to heal should heal first. Those who need to find a place to sweat should go sweat. My legs are already weak. Stop nagging here. Someone could not help but laugh, but his legs were really weak. I'm going into closed-door cultivation too. At this time, Heavenly King, Subduer threw a seal over. King Can seal. King Dui's seal was taken by King Qian. Fang Ping nodded. He saw this. King Qian wanted to participate in the battle and take away a Heavenly King seal. It was not good to fight with him over this now. Now, other than me, the remaining Heavenly King seals and Saint tokens are with the Divine Sect. The 9 Emperor seals are with Kunpeng. Fang Ping calculated for a while and smiled. There's no hurry with Kunpeng. The Divine Sect seals will be taken away sooner or later. Everyone was speechless again. He had just finished this battle, and now he was thinking about the next one. 11 Saint tokens, 2 Heavenly King seals. This was Fang Ping's harvest this time. It was quite a big one. However, he also suffered a heavy loss. The god-slaying saber had been destroyed. This divine weapon had helped him too much. It was quite a pity that it was destroyed this time. Severing the origin was also one of Fang Ping's trump cards. However, the Heavenly King seal and Saint token could also enter the source and transform into a long saber. However, they were separated after all and might not be as smooth as the god-slaying saber. Fang Ping chatted with old Zhang and the rest for a while. Old Zhang still had to deal with Earth's matters. Fang Ping did not care about these. He found a place and began his closed-door cultivation. He was a hands-off boss. Old Zhang was the one who did the real work. Fang Ping would at most ask about the big and small matters. He would not care about the rest. These things were left to old Zhang to handle. Post-war compensation, burial, and the many natural disasters on Earth that needed to be dealt with after the war were all troublesome matters. Fang Ping could not be bothered to intervene. His help would only make things messy. Internal affairs were usually decided by old Zhang. As for Fang Ping, he was mainly in charge of the battle. His role was similar to Li Zhan's. At the bottom of the sea. At this moment, the seawater was tainted with a lot of energy. It was much stronger than before. Only now did Fong Ping have time to observe the changes in his data. Before the war, he refined a few saint tokens and a heavenly king seal. There were some changes. Wealth, 300 billion points vitality, 312,000 calories, 3,120,000 calories. Mentality, 29,009 hertz, 29,009 hertz. Jade bones, 1% origin world, 805 meters combat techniques. God-slaying saber technique, plus 9%, return to 1. Spirituality path, 100 calories vitality to 1 hertz mentality physique path, 1 hertz mentality to 100 calories vitality. Irreversible, strength control, 95% ultimate outburst. 3230760 cal / 34008 cal's origin force had disappeared because his spiritual power and vitality force were once again unbalanced. The Tao was broken. There was no Tao enhancement. However, when the origin world reached 800 meters, Fong Ping's basic vitality had already exceeded 3 million calories. This was not the main point. If the Tao was gone, so be it. What surprised Fong Ping was that there was an additional item in the data. Jade bones. Yes, Fong Ping was a little surprised. Very quickly he understood. This time he absorbed a lot of vitality force at the vitality gate, but did not feel any improvement in his strength. He only recovered some of his injuries. The quality of the vitality force was extremely high, but it did not bring about any changes to him. Now look at this. Fong Ping raised his hand and looked at it. He saw through his bones. Although he could show some jade color before, it was not jade bones. It was just a manifestation of golden body cultivation to the extreme. Now, the forging of jade bones had actually begun. This meant that Fong Ping had truly begun to touch the realm of jade bones. His golden body had already reached a limit, surpassing the level of a golden body. The forging of jade bones has begun. Fong Ping was in a good mood. Not only that, Fong Ping also knew that the force was very powerful. The force that was born from his collision earlier was extremely powerful. Fong Ping suspected that the force might be a higher-ranked force of vitality force. If he could maintain force outburst all the time, Fong Ping felt that it might also be a qualitative change. Fong Ping saw some force outburst from the Emperor earlier. The reason Emperors were so powerful might be related to the force. Force, jade bones. When Fong Ping thought of this, he looked at his origin world again. At this moment, the endless vitality force in the origin world was surging as if it wanted to escape. This vitality force gave Fong Ping the feeling that it should be a vitality force that had undergone a qualitative change. The quality was extremely high. He could not tell how many qualitative changes it had undergone. Anyway, it was very strong. There's still a heavenly king seal and many saint tokens. After I refine them, I should be able to reach more than 900 meters, right? Fong Ping's heart stirred slightly. His vitality force did not seem to grow much, but it was because Fong Ping had achieved balance that his vitality force had decreased a little. Balance was not without its benefits. At least this time, Fong Ping had experienced the benefits. The moment the force outburst occurred, he vaguely reached breakthrough 7. Moreover, after merging, Fong Ping also experienced the feeling of breaking through 8 and 9. If I switch to the Saint Tao, even if the amplification is weakened, I should have no problem breaking through 7. Breaking through 7. When Fong Ping thought of this, he began to refine silently. The Emperor's appearance made him feel a sense of danger again. Chaos was about to descend. The moment the Emperor appeared, no one knew what kind of changes would occur in the 3 realms. The moment Fong Ping went into closed-door cultivation, many people were engaged in a heated discussion. Magic City, the Fong family. Fong Yuan displayed his Sanzhou gate, his eyes dazed. Beside him, the cat was lying on the lawn, looking at the door happily. It was so happy that it rolled around. Little chubby face, do you see that? Do you see Big Cat? On the illusory door, some words, and a picture were slowly reflected. Fang Ping of the human clan was here. There was also a tiny cat. Fang Yuan was dumbfounded. This Sanjiao Gate was available to all rank 6 martial artists. The catacombs had it too. Of course, it was still unknown whether the catacombs' martial artists' energy doors reflected anything. However, at this moment, the same words were reflected on all the humans' vitality doors. Not only that, the vitality doors seemed to be slightly broken. There were even some slash marks left on it. Fang Yuan felt like it was a little surreal. This illusory door was even more legendary than the Emperor's legend. However, today, Fang Ping's name and Big Cat's had appeared on this door. This was not something that only one person had, but it was something that all rank 6 martial artists who cultivated vitality had. My brother is going to be famous for all eternity. Fang Yuan was stunned. This was really going to be recorded in history. If this door was not broken and continued to exist, from now on, all rank 6 martial artists who cultivated vitality would know Fang Ping. The Fang Ping of the human clan. Fang Yuan could not imagine what kind of majestic legend Fang Ping could leave behind in that period if martial arts still existed in the future, and the ancient powerhouses and the current generation of martial artists were all dead. Leaving his name on the legendary door was a little unbelievable. Big Cat said happily, "Me too." Fang Yuan turned around and glanced at it, saying impatiently, "You don't know how to write. People only saw a kitten and thought it was my brother who carved it. How would they know who you are?" The cat was stunned for a moment. What he said made sense. It was just a cat's head. Who would know who this cat was? I told you not to be an illiterate cat, but you insisted on being one. You don't study well. You deserve it. The cat looked dejected. Did cats still need to study? Oh, right, the big fatty you called. Is she Spirit Emperor? Fang Yuan was suddenly interested and asked hurriedly. The cat muttered, "It's her. Big Fatty used to be so nice. She wouldn't get angry if I called her, but this time she hit me. That's too much." The cat felt so pitiful to be hit by Big Fatty. That was too much. Is Spirit Emperor very fat? Very fat, the cat said matter-of-factly. When she took off her clothes and showered, she was really, really fat. But Big Dog drooled when he saw her. He was almost beaten to death, the cat continued. Big Dog must want to eat Big Fatty, and so does the bathhouse guard. He must want to eat Big Fatty too. The corner of Fang Yuan's mouth twitched. This cat was staring at him. Perverted cat. So this was what you were talking about. This cat was also a shameless old cat, pretending to be young every day. The cat did not continue talking about this. It muttered, "Big Fatty asked me to go to 9th heaven to look for her, but I can't go. Sigh, I'll let the liar go." Little chubby face. Do you think the liar will drool when he sees Big Fatty? No way. Fang Yuan denied it immediately. My brother won't do that. He's not that kind of person. The cat was a little unconvinced. It muttered, "Big Fatty is quite good-looking. Even cats like him. Maybe the liar will like him too. No way. He's tens of thousands of years old." Fang Yuan quickly denied it. Besides, her brother was not a womanizer. Didn't you see him beating up female martial artists when he was weak? The cat wagged its tail and did not care anymore. It closed its eyes and went to sleep. After eating so much vitality this time, the cat felt that it could eat a good meal before sleeping. It wondered if it should add some dried fish to the vitality. Perhaps it would taste better. Chapter 1261. The 3 realms were quiet. Just because it was quiet didn't mean there was nothing to do. Not long after the war ended, the 3 realms were reshuffled again. The Sea Guardian established the Demon Court. At the end of the war, the Sea Guardian teleported the 8 destroyed overseas immortal islands. With his strength, he forcefully combined the 8 continents and created the Demon Court continent. The Demon Court was established, and soon thousands of demons gathered. There was still only one Heavenly King stage powerhouse, the Sea Guardian. However, there were many saint-level powerhouses. cosmic dragon led the Dragon Island to the demon court. Previously, Dragon Island had a saint level, a venerable emperor, and many peak powerhouses. Now, the Dragon Emperor was about to break through and become a saint. In addition to the Dragon Island saint, the Beast Emperor also had a saint resurrected. An ancient beast was also heading to the demon court. The overlord level and desperate realm powerhouses were even more terrifying. On the catacombs and the divine sect, more than 30 peak powerhouses went to the demon court. Some islands in the sea and some forbidden lands also went to the demon court to seek refuge with the Sea Guardian. As a result, although the demon court had just been established, there were many powerhouses under its command. Not long after the demon court was established, Yuan also seized a continent in the sea and established his chaotic divine kingdom. He led a group of bandits and began to conquer the 33 immortal islands. Many of the 33 immortal islands had been destroyed, and some had been subdued by the divine sect. Only a few islands had not been subdued. While Yuan was on the move, moon spirits Wang Wu moved to the sea and began to subdue some islands. This time, there were still 4 heavenly king powerhouses who survived under the divine emperor. The chief of the divine emperor was a saint-level powerhouse. This time, the other party didn't stay idle. The powerhouses of the 3 realms were a little afraid and didn't recruit him for the time being. The other party went to Medicine God Island, which had people from the divine emperor's bloodline. Not only did they have them, but they were also not weak. There was also the existence of Weiyu Mountain and a few saint-level powerhouses. In addition, the South, North, and West emperors also had chiefs, all saint-level heavenly kings. The chief of Emperor Nan went to Water Force Island, and his water power also broke through to saint level. Whether he was afraid or not, now that the chief of Emperor Nan had returned, this big water buffalo still chose to accept him. The first seat of the West Emperor could not find the West Emperor Palace, so he had no choice but to go to the Medicine God Island. The heavenly king of the North King's bloodline wanted to look for Moon Spirit, but Moon Spirit did not accept him. She said that she only accepted females. This chief of the North King eventually went to the catacombs and sought refuge with Hong Yu. The situation was becoming increasingly clear. The countless forces and factions from before had either perished or sought refuge with other factions. Anyone with a discerning eye could already tell that now, without a heavenly king holding down the fort, they could forget about roaming around the 3 realms. After 2 days of silence, a list was released, stirring the hearts of the people of the 3 realms once more. Taoist Feng Yin. This shit-stirrer had once again released his 3 realms reputation list after the Great War of the 3 realms had just ended. Until now, even Fang Ping had not fully understood this person's background. He only knew that he was the emperor's eyes and ears outside. Fang Ping did not know who it was exactly. He asked Heavenly Wood, but Heavenly Wood could not tell him either. He only knew that there was a powerhouse behind him, a very powerful one, probably an emperor. This time, the 3 realms ranking reappeared. Compared to before, it was completely different. Star Town. Once the ranking was released, it spread quickly. This time, the ranking was dominated by Heavenly King powerhouses. Jiang Chao glanced at it and could not help but click his tongue. He looked at Su Zissou opposite him and chuckled. Our Star Town is really full of hidden tigers and crouching dragons. Old Ancestor Li went from the number 1 powerhouse on Earth to the number 1 powerhouse in the 3 realms. How can we reason with him? Pudgy Jiang was speechless. If I had known this would happen, I would have flattered him more when I met him. To think that my old ancestor said that he and old ancestor Li were evenly matched. Yes, Warlord had said this before. Warlord had said that if he and Suppressing Heavenly King fought, it was hard to say who would win. Now that was not the case. Otherwise, Jiang Chao could slap the old ancestor's face now and then be slapped in the face by the old ancestor. Opposite him, Su Zissou was no longer as young and inexperienced as before. The Sioux family's old ancestor's death in battle made the Sioux family sad for a long time, and they began to transform. After Su Yunfei achieved Dao and inherited the title of Sword King, the Su family still could not recover from the sorrow. Su Zissou did not say anything. She glanced at the ranking list and soon saw Fong Ping's name. She sighed. Back then in MCMAU, Fong Ping was only rank 5. He was not as strong as us. Now, not long after, Fong Ping is already at the top of the Heavenly King ranking list. Sighing, lamenting. This girl who did not know anything back then was filled with emotion when she thought about it now. At that time, she was carefree and did not care much about these things. Now that she thought about it again, she regretted not working hard in the past. Now it was too late for regrets. Jiang Chao chuckled. Don't compare yourself to him. He's a monster. You can't compare. At this moment, on the ranking list, names came into view. Soon, Jiang Chao saw his old ancestor's name and could not help but grin. The old ancestor was not too weak. He actually made it into the top 100. Not bad. 3 realms Heavenly King ranking. Number 1. Suppressing Heavenly King 2nd. Tian Chen 3rd. God Creation 4th. Demon Emperor 5th. Heavenly Dog 6th. King Conferred 7th. Hong Yu 8th. King Kun currently, there were only 8 powerhouses who had broken through 8 ranks in the origin bloodline. Breaking through 7 ranks. 1st. Sherpa 2nd. Palm Seal Envoy 3rd. Li Zhu 4th. King Qian 5th. Chaotic 6th. Moon Spirit 7th. Divine Emperor's first seat. 8th. King Wu there were also 8. King Wu Zhang Tao. This time he was listed in the breaking through 7 ranks. Previously, when the Emperor's sword was shattered, Zhang Tao's final burst of strength was at 7 ranks. Although it was not known if he could continue to break through 7 ranks, he was still listed in the breaking through 7 ranks. Breaking through 6 ranks. 1st. Human King Fong Ping 2nd. Lin Zi 3rd. King Zhen 4th. Yin Fei, Emperor Nan's first seat. 5th. Lu Shan, Emperor North's first seat. 6th. Sheng Hong, Emperor West's first seat. 7th. Celestial Pole 8th. Dragon Transformation 9th. Tianli, these 25 Heavenly King powerhouses were listed in the Heavenly King ranking. Chu Wu was not included. There should be more Heavenly Kings in the 3 realms origins. There should be some in Chu Wu mainland too. However, these people did not show up. The ranking did not list them. 25 Heavenly Kings was a lot. In ancient times, other than Chu Wu, there might not have been so many Heavenly Kings during the 3 realms peak. Moreover, this was the number of Heavenly Kings counted after several losses. These days, many Heavenly Kings had died. As for the humans, Fong Ping was ranked first in the breaking through 6 ranks. This was a ranking given to him after knowing that he had broken his great Tao. Before this, Fong Ping had never displayed the strength of breaking through 7 ranks. Of course, it was possible that Fong Ping was ranked first in the 3 realms Heavenly King ranking when he used 1 slash to break through 9 ranks. However, that was not his own strength after all. After Fong Ping's great Tao collapsed, Taoist Feng Yin still felt that Fong Ping was ranked first in the breaking through 6 ranks. This showed how much he valued Fong Ping. There were many saints on the saint ranking. The first on the saint ranking was none other than Gong Zhuanzi. Gong Zhuanzi had become a saint only a few days ago. However, Taoist Feng Yin still ranked him first. No one knew if he really felt that Gong Zhuanzi was strong or if he had other motives. The second was not a veteran saint either. It was King Huai. This time, King Huai had ambushed a Heavenly King and made his name known in the 3 realms. The first on the Emperor level ranking was Li Chongsheng. The first on the Absolute Peak ranking was Ji Hong. Yes, Ji Hong. Unexpectedly, there were many veteran paragons. There were more and more perilous realms in the 3 realms. However, Taoist Feng Yin ranked Ji Hong, who had only ascended a few years ago, first on the Absolute Peak. This was also unexpected. The ranking list made by Taoist Fengyin still had some credibility. This time he left countless paragons behind and only ranked Ji Hong first. Many people guessed that perhaps, like Li Zhu back then, Ji Hong might also have some hidden strength. Of course, at this stage, even if Ji Hong was an emperor level, it did not affect him much. The new ranking list was released. Fang Ping's strength was ranked top 20 in the 3 realms. This ranking only represented Fang Ping's current strength, not his influence. This time, the list even spread to the Chu Wu continent's region. The origin lineage was still very powerful. There were a total of 8 who broke through 8 ranks. Although the weapon grandmaster was dead, he took origin with him. Chu Wu mainland, Sky our mainland. Li Hansong saw the ranking list too. After looking for a while, he was speechless. This fellow Fang Ping was getting famous now. Right now, the entire Chu Wu mainland was spreading his name. King Fang Ping, daring to even challenge an emperor. He was a ruthless person. Although his strength was at 6 ranks, even those who had broken through 8 were not as famous as him. They were not as intimidating as him. Just as Li Hansong was looking at the ranking list in the hall, a young man hurried in, his face full of joy. He said hurriedly, "Brother Iron, hurry, hurry, the Elder Ancestor is summoning Brother Iron at Jade Bone Hall." Elder Ancestor, Li Hansong was stunned. He threw the ranking list aside and said excitedly, "Elder Ancestor, Heavenly Arm?" Yes, the young man did not care about his excitement. Of course he was excited. This was the Sky Arm mainland's god, a supreme being. Knowing that the Elder Ancestor wanted to meet Iron Fist, he was so envious and jealous that he was about to go crazy. However, at this moment, he suppressed all his emotions and did not think about it anymore. Iron Fist was going to be rich. He had to please him. Li Hansong's face was stiff. Heavenly Arm with 8 ranks wanted to meet him? Had he discovered his identity? Breaking 8 ranks was too powerful. It was really hard to say. He had never revealed the strength of his origin. He relied on the strength of his physique. Now he had a little fame in the Sky Arm mainland. But logically speaking, he should not attract the attention of a powerhouse with 8 ranks, right? Li Hansong, who was having a mental breakdown, began to think of a way. Heavenly Arm seemed to have cooperated with Fang Ping a few times before. Once his identity was exposed, if he said he was Fang Ping's brother, Heavenly Arm would not attack him, right? It was hard to say. These days, he had also entered the eyes of some higher-ups and learned some beginners' ultimate arts. Although they were not the core ultimate arts, they were not ordinary either. He was an outsider, pretending to be a beginner and getting his way here. Who knew what Heavenly Arm was thinking? Li Hansong dilly-dallied. His legs were a little weak. No way. If there was really no other way, he would say that Fang Ping asked him to come. Yes, it was Fang Ping who asked him to come. If you dare to kill me, my brother will hack you to death. Li Hansong emboldened himself. He was not afraid anymore. He would go. Wasn't it just 8 ranks? My brother even dared to hack emperors. Don't you provoke me. Otherwise, I will hack you to death. Jadebone Hall, one of the core areas of the Sky Arm continent. This was also the place where Heavenly Arm went into hibernation. At this moment, in the huge hall, many people had already arrived. When they saw Li Hansong rushing over with a nervous expression, a middle-aged man sitting below Heavenly Arm said softly, "Master, Heavenly Arm did not speak. He looked at Li Hansong. His eyes were like the vast universe. No one dared to look at him directly. Heavenly Arm seemed to be easy to talk to in front of Fang Ping. However, as one of the beginners' leaders and a powerhouse who had broken 8 ranks, he was a god in this continent. He was easy to talk to Fang Ping because Fang Ping's identity was important. He had Heavenly King suppressing an entire human race behind him. He was also powerful. Birds of a feather flocked together. Powerhouses of the same rank would only respect those of the same rank. Fang Ping's strength was 6 ranks. However, with other factors, his status would not be lower than 8 ranks. Greetings, heavenly arm god. Li Hansong pretended to be carefree. He smiled and bowed in greeting. Someone scolded in a low voice. How dare you kneel? This savage dared not kneel in front of heavenly arm god. He was too bold. As expected, he's a savage. Someone snorted in a low voice. Iron Fist came from the wilderness of the continent. He had no manners. Many people scolded again. Li Hansong looked at the powerhouses around him blankly. He looked innocent. What did they mean by kneeling? Heavenly Arm was still looking at him. He did not stop the others from scolding him. After a while, someone was dissatisfied. His vitality erupted, wanting to force Li Hansong to kneel. At this time, Heavenly Arm raised his hand slowly and said lightly, "Quiet!" Everyone quickly quieted down. Heavenly Arm said lightly, "The beginners don't need to care too much about these. Don't learn from the origin. There are good and bad people in the origin. Everything follows the rules. You can't go beyond them. However, it is also because of this that after the 9 emperors, the origin's powerhouses have all lost their wildness. It's not like when the beginners were fighting for supremacy." As Heavenly Arm spoke, he said softly, "Sit down." He gestured for Li Hansong to sit at the last seat. Heavenly Arm did not look at him anymore. He looked at the crowd and said calmly, "The martial artists of the origin can follow the rules because their great Tao can be followed. However, the beginners, I hope that everyone can truly walk your own Tao, the Tao of beginners. In the past 30,000 years, other than us old antiques, how many people in the beginners have created a new Tao?" Everyone was silent. Some were ashamed. The so-called beginners were the creation of a new Tao. This was the true beginner's Tao. Even though it was roughly the same, there were still differences. For example, Heavenly Arm walked the physical Tao. However, the physical Tao had countless branches. He created the Heavenly Arm Tao. This was a new Tao. Hence, he broke through the 8th Tao. However, there were almost no martial artists who created new Tao in recent years. Heavenly Arm continued, "The origin wants to destroy the beginner's inheritance. Although the beginner's Tao still exists, the current beginner's Tao is no longer the same as before. Of course, I also know that the predecessors have walked most of the Tao that could be walked. However, it does not mean that the Tao can no longer be walked. Although the beginner's Tao is contested by tens of thousands of Tao, there are still 2 Taos in general, the Tao of the flesh and the Tao of spiritual consciousness. There are people who broke through the 8th Tao of spiritual consciousness. There are also people who broke through the 8th Tao of the flesh. If that's the case, why haven't there been any powerhouses who broke through the 8th Tao of the flesh and spiritual consciousness?" Heavenly Arm said lightly, "There are still many Taos that can be walked." In the 3 realms origin, talented people swarmed out. Human King Fongping, Martial King Zhang Tao, longevity swordsman, one by one. The human race's experts emerged. However, why can't I be a beginner? Speaking of which, the beginner's Tao is very similar to the human race in the past. Heavenly Arm sighed. 30,000 years ago, the beginner's Tao was defeated. At that time, we were also surrounded by enemies. At that time, the situation was also extremely difficult. However, it did not stimulate the blood of the beginner's Tao. How many people walked their own unique Tao in that kind of environment? Not only that, after some people studied the origin, they even gave up on the cultivation of beginner's Tao. How sad! Everyone was silent. Among those present, the weakest was a saint-rank powerhouse. Of course, Li Hansong was not included. This was also the core of the entire sky Arm continent. After speaking for a while, Heavenly Arm looked at the first person on the lower right, a young man, and said softly, "Yulong, in the past you wanted to walk the Tao of origin. You wanted to find the flaw of the origin, and even wanted to merge the origin and beginner's Tao into one. Now, tens of thousands of years have passed. I can only see that you are walking further and further on the Tao of origin. Now, you are about to break through 7. but your flesh is already weak and your jade bones cannot be forged. Have you ever thought of putting aside the origin for the time being and walk the path of beginner's jade bones?" The young man bowed slightly and said softly, "Teacher, the Tao of origin suppressed the birth of jade bones. All these years I have also wanted to return to beginner's Tao, but I realize there is no way back. Now that I am about to break through 7, I thought that it would be a pity to give up the origin with the great war at hand." Heavenly Arm sighed. "You, Sai, beginner's Tao, origin, can you still distinguish it?" Moon Spirit of the Tao of origin had forged a body of jade bones. Although it had not reached the true jade bone realm, its flesh was extremely strong, more like a beginner than a beginner. Chaos also walked the origin. The strength of his flesh was also beyond ordinary people. Fong Ping was still walking the origin. His flesh was also turning into jade. All of this proves that beginner's Tao is not without merit. These people are also trying to walk the Tao of beginner. The forging of jade bones is to integrate the Tao of beginner. But now we have given up the most powerful Tao of beginner. Heavenly Arm was full of regret. He said softly, "Beginner's Tao and origin are actually not incompatible. It is said that at the end of breaking through 8, we can actually walk the origin. You have to know at that step, once we step on the origin, we will be able to travel 1,000 miles in a day. We can instantly rival a martial emperor. At the beginning, it was difficult for us to walk the origin, but at the end, it is easier than breaking 8 martial emperor." Back then, Heaven Reverse Emperor also tried to walk the origin when he reached the peak of breaking through 8. I don't know if he succeeded or not, but since he appeared in the world of origin, perhaps he has already stepped on the origin. Below, the young man frowned slightly. He said in a low voice, "Teacher, it is easier said than done for beginners Tao of beginner. The progress of the origin is much faster than beginner's Tao. Back then, eldest senior brother reached 6 levels. That year, I reached the 9th refinement of the golden body and entered the origin. In the blink of an eye, I am about to reach 7 levels, while eldest senior brother is still stuck at 6 levels." At this, the middle-aged man opposite him was a little sad. Heavenly Arm said lightly, "Although your eldest senior brother has reached 6 levels, his future potential may not be small. His jade bones have not been forged yet. They are only pseudo-jade bones. Relying on pseudo-jade bones, he can reach 6 levels and is even close to the peak. Once the jade bones are forged, he can reach 7 levels in a day, or even 8 levels." The young man said in a low voice, "Eldest senior brother was at this level 10,000 years ago. Now it has been more than 10,000 years." Heavenly Arm frowned slightly and sighed. Below, many people seem to have the same thought. In the Heavenly King realm, the progress of the origin might not be that fast. But compared to beginner's Tao, it was indeed faster and more promising. Jade Dragon was only his 7th disciple. But now he had surpassed his eldest disciple and became the most powerful person in the Sky Arm continent after him. And this caused the Sky Arm continent to waver. All these years he had been in seclusion and turned a blind eye to these things. Now that he came out of seclusion, he found that in the vast continent, the number of martial artists cultivating the origin had almost reached 70%. It was too terrifying. If this continued in a few more years, beginner's Tao would be destroyed. Without saying this, Heavenly Arm sighed and said, "Forget it. All of you can leave. Beginner's Tao, Sai." Sighing, seeing that Li Hansong was about to leave, Heavenly Arm said, "Iron Fist, stay." Hearing this, many people looked at Li Hansong. Why did the old ancestor want this person to stay? Heavenly Arm said lightly, "This old man has seen many people in the younger generation. Iron Fist has the highest level of bone forging. After you go back, you still need to urge your disciples to endure more hardships and be more careful. Do you really want everyone to walk the origin path?" Everyone did not dare to say anything else and left. Soon, Only Heavenly Arm and the uneasy Li Hansong were left in the great hall. Li Hansong did not dare to raise his head at this time. He kept feeling that the old man above was looking at him. In reality, he was definitely looking at him as if he had seen through everything. Terrifying. Only when facing this old man alone did he know how terrifying Breaking 8 was. "Who are you?" Heavenly Arm suddenly asked. Li Hansong hurriedly said, "My name is Iron Fist. I come from the wilderness. Who are you?" Heavenly Arm repeated. Li Hansong was just about to speak when he suddenly felt an incomparably powerful pressure pressing down on him. "Who are you?" Li Hansong's blood, qi, also erupted. His face was flushed, and he gritted his teeth. He did not say anything, and he did not have the strength to say anything. The pressure was getting stronger and stronger. Heavenly Arm walked down from the throne and walked in front of Li Hansong. His eyes were like the sun and moon as he said calmly, "You can withstand it. If you have the amplification of the origin, you can withstand twice the pressure." As he spoke, the pressure continued to increase. "Release your origin. Let this old man see what realm your origin has reached. If you don't, you will definitely die." I don't know." Li Hansong's teeth bled, and he had an innocent expression. "I don't know. What are you saying?" "Ridiculous. I don't even understand what you are saying." The pressure became stronger again. Li Hansong started to roar, and his body trembled. His bones cracked under the pressure. Blood started to seep into his body, and his golden body also started to crack, revealing the jade-like bones inside. Heavenly Arm looked at him and continued to increase the pressure, making it harder and harder for Li Hansong to bear. "Release your origin and let this old man see." I already said. I don't know." Li Hansong felt wronged. "I don't know the origin, Tao." "What are you talking about?" Heavenly Arm said coldly. "If you don't release it, you will be crushed to death, crushed into a pile of minced meat." After saying that, he continued, "It is difficult to forge jade bones in the Tao of origin, even if it is just a fake jade bone. Even someone as talented as Moon Spirit has only managed to forge a fake jade bone today. However, this old man has heard that there seems to be an expert among the human race, an expert of the younger generation, the reincarnation of Emperor Ba Tian." Heavenly Arm's eyes instantly lit up, and he looked at Li Hansong. "You are him." What did you say?" Li Hansong was at a loss. He gritted his teeth in anger. "What reincarnation of Celestial Tharch Batian? Don't talk nonsense if you don't know him." "I won't admit it." "Who knows what you want to do? In any case, I won't admit it." Also, he had a set of divine armor. Who knew if this guy would be tempted? How could Li Hansong dare to admit this? Also, he felt that the old man might not have discovered it. Maybe he felt that something was wrong and was testing him. That might not be the case. Li Hansong had seen this kind of trick before, and he couldn't fall for it. In the past few wars of the human race, those few did not appear. It is said that they are in seclusion, trying to break through to a higher realm, but are they really in seclusion? Heavenly Arm looked at him and smiled. "If you are the reincarnation of Celestial Tharch Batian, this old man might be able to help you become a heavenly king in an instant or even stronger. You can forge a body of jade bones, and your chi and blood will be incomparably powerful. If not," Heavenly Arm looked at his slightly pale skin and sighed, "then this old man can only shatter your jade bones to repair my arms." I don't know, what are you talking about?" Li Hansong felt even more wronged. "I don't understand. You can't even threaten me." Heavenly Arm's eyes suddenly sharpened. His eyes emitted a golden light as he looked at Li Hansong. Vaguely, an incomparably tall and domineering figure appeared in his eyes. Heavenly Arm frowned. Is he really not the reincarnation of Celestial Tharch Batian? If not, does this mean that this person has a great future? This phantom was only something that these supreme experts saw and sensed. It might not represent anything, especially since the phantom's face was illusory and could not be seen clearly. Perhaps it was the past, or perhaps it was the future. Is it the past or the future? You're lying. Heavenly Arm shouted in a low voice. This old man has investigated the desolate land, and there are no pure descendants of the first martial lineage. Who exactly are you? Li Hansong was speechless, but his eyes were filled with doubt and grievance. There are no descendants of the first martial lineage? Then who did I learn from? Is my master not a person of the first martial lineage? I don't know. I'm not that old, and my master never told me about this. Yes, his eyes revealed many meanings. Heavenly Arm understood and looked at him with a frown. Is it really not? Before this, the first person he thought of was the reincarnation of the Batian celestial Dharch. Otherwise, he would not have been able to forge a body of pseudo-jade bones. But now, this kid was about to be crushed by him. The Dharch armor did not appear, and the source did not appear. Could it be that he had guessed wrong? Is he really a good seedling of the first martial lineage? A genius? Heavenly Arm fell into deep thought. The human race had produced a genius who walked the Tao of Source. Could it be that the first martial lineage had produced a genius as well? Nowadays, there were fewer and fewer young people walking the first martial lineage. Heavenly Arm was also distressed. If the other party was really a genius of the first martial lineage, then he could not miss this opportunity, let alone kill him rashly. Heavenly Arm continued to berate Li Hansong, but he did not say anything. In any case, he just looked innocent. There was also the anger of being wronged. I've already said that he's not, yet you're still bullying me. Chapter 1262. In the Jade Bone Hall, Skyarm pressed down, and Li Hansong's bones were exploding. Soon, Li Hansong was covered in blood. Skyarm looked at him for a while and suddenly sighed. You are very similar to Celestial Emperor Batian in the past. Li Hansong was still confused. Who was Celestial Emperor Batian? He was not familiar. The people I brought out from the savage land did not know these secrets. Skyarm chuckled. 30,000 years ago, when Chuwu was created, the continent was still a continent that had not shattered. At that time, hundreds of flowers bloomed and thousands of Daos resonated. In the era before the origin was created, it was also the end of Chuwu on that huge continent. There were few more young people who sought the Tao. Celestial Emperor Batian. Of course, he was not an extreme Tao Celestial Emperor back then. He was just a simple and honest young man. I still remember that year he came to my Taoist right temple, and just like today. Skyarm murmured. I asked him why he sought the Tao. He was also at a loss, and did not know why he sought the Tao. I saw that his Tao heart was not firm, and he had no goal. I felt that he was trash, so how could I agree to impart the Tao? If a martial artist did not have a goal and did not have a firm heart to pursue the Tao, he would be considered trash to a beginner martial artist. It was useless, no matter how talented he was. At this time, Skyarm no longer pressed down. Li Hansong panted violently and muttered a few words. Skyarm smiled. That day he was also unconvinced. He felt that practicing martial arts was just practicing martial arts. Why must there be a reason? I was not willing to impart the Tao, but he was unconvinced. He said that the martial Tao was only the martial Tao when it was imparted. That day was just like today. This old man was impatient with his chatter, so I suppressed him with my might. Li Hansong panted and asked curiously, Who is Celestial Emperor Batian? One of the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors? I've often heard of the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors. That's right. Skyarm smiled. One of them. The feeling you give me is very similar to when he was young. As Tianbai spoke, he sighed and continued. That day he refused to admit defeat and persisted. I can see that he is stubborn, but this can also be considered a kind of persistence. Perhaps the heart of martial arts is like this. This is the heart of a pure child without any desires. The martial way is the martial way. So I taught him the Tao for 3 years. After 3 years, he felt that I couldn't teach him anymore, so he left to continue his studies. At this moment, Tianbai told Li Hansong about the Batian emperor. Li Hansong gradually understood the situation of the Batian heaven emperor. Without a master, the heaven tyrant monarch was just a scholar. He traveled around the continent alone, and whenever he met a famous expert, he would seek guidance from them. Some were willing to teach him, while others were unwilling. The Sky Arm had no idea how long the Sky Monarch Batian had been studying. He only knew that the Sky Monarch Batian had gradually become famous. He was a studious person and didn't have any sectarian bias. When Essence was created, others were still hesitating. At that time, he had already forged a set of pseudo-jade bones, but he still went to learn Essence Tao. The Sky Arm recalled, when Essence first appeared, it was actually not rejected by the beginner martial Tao. Essence is also a Tao. Moreover, the one who created Essence was one of the leaders of the beginner martial Tao. He was also a beginner martial Tao orthodoxy. But soon, the Sky Arm said in a deep voice, soon, someone discovered a flaw. Someone who walked the Essence Tao discovered that it suppressed the beginner martial Tao, the physical body, and the spiritual consciousness. Some experts who were about to reach the jade bone Tao even began to degenerate. Their jade bones were crushed by the Essence Tao, and they exploded. From then on, there was a conflict between Essence and beginner martial Tao, a huge conflict. Li Hansong said curiously, "It will explode? Didn't they say that after walking the beginner martial Tao, one can't walk the Essence Tao? It can still be done. It was still possible back then." The Sky Arm smiled and said, "At that time, the great Tao wasn't as clear as now, especially before the Sanjiao Gate appeared yet. The difference between beginner martial Tao and Essence Tao was actually not too great. At the Golden Body stage, one could casually cultivate the Tao. Later, it couldn't be done because the Sanjiao Gate appeared. Beginner martial Tao did not cultivate the Sanjiao Gate, which also meant that they completely could not walk the Essence Great Tao. At this time, wanting to walk the Essence Tao, then there was no way to walk, unless they crippled all their strength and walked again." The Sky Arm continued, "Of course, after the 9 sovereigns validated their Tao, the Essence Great Tao actually became independent. In the early stages, even without the Sanjiao Gate, it was actually already very difficult for beginner martial Tao to want to switch cultivation, because Essence was suppressing beginner martial Tao." Li Hansong nodded, still not quite sure what the Sky Arm wanted to say. The Sky Arm smiled and said, "Are you wondering why this old man is telling you these?" "Yes, why are you suppressing me?" The Sky Arm laughed in spite of himself. Was this the key? This boy was naive and a little silly. This old man mentioned Celestial Dharch Batian because I want to tell you that you're very similar to Celestial Dharch Batian, and he, back then, roughly also switched to cultivating Essence at your stage. Later, he achieved the position of Extreme Tao Heavenly Dharch. Oh. Li Hansong casually responded. The Sky Arm was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. He continued, "Now, there are fewer and fewer martial artists cultivating beginner martial. Legacies all have the chance of destruction. Because cultivating Essence is faster, the beginner martial path has already declined now. For you to be able to walk to this stage on this path, it exceeds this old man's expectations." Li Hansong somewhat scratched his ears and cheeks as he said, "What are you trying to say?" The Sky Arm glanced at him and slowly said, "This old man wants to say that if you walk the Essence Tao now, there might be unexpected benefits. You can also walk the Tao of Celestial Dharch back then, stepping onto Essence before achieving Jade Bones. Although it's very difficult and you missed the opportunity before Golden Body, now, this old man still has the confidence to help you step onto Essence. Once you really achieve Jade Bones, then you won't have this chance anymore, unless you cripple your entire body of Jade Bones." The Sky Arm said in a solemn voice, "If you walk 2 paths, even if you're not as good as Celestial Dharch in the end, This old man also feels that you can walk to the point of breaking 7 or even 8. Li Hansong nodded and said, I think so too. I can definitely break 7 or 8. The sky arm laughed in spite of himself again and said slowly, but if you walk the essence, then you won't be a pure beginner martial anymore. Sooner or later, essence will suppress beginner martial. Then I won't walk. Li Hansong broke out in a cold sweat in his heart, but his mouth said carefree, what's so good about essence? The physical body is as fragile as a woman. Then I'll directly walk the Tao of Jade Bones. You really think so? The sky arm's eyes lit up slightly, and he said with a smile, You have to understand, once you continue on this path, perhaps you won't be able to forge jade bones in your entire life. If this old man helps you now, you can retain this body of half jade bones. After stepping into essence, your current fleshy body combat strength will probably already approach true God realm. Quickly step into essence, and if essence also enters true God realm, you will soon possess emperor-level combat strength. At this time, if your physical body is a little stronger, perhaps even sages and heavenly kings will be in front of you. Li Hansong quickly pondered the old man's meaning, and very soon he said firmly, I won't walk. After I form jade bones, I will immediately have emperor-level combat strength. After jade bones, I just need to cultivate hard and strengthen my chi and blood, and I will soon become a sage, a heavenly king. Why should I walk the essence path? Have you thought about it? The time it will take might be calculated in tens of thousands of years. If you walk the essence path, now that the Tao of Essence is close to the 3 realms, you might advance by leaps and bounds and become a heavenly king in a short time. Li Hansong suddenly scolded. Isn't this the beginner martial continent? Old man, why are you advising me to walk the Tao of Essence? You're a beginner martial trader? Oh, I understand. You're the trader those people spoke of. They insist on sending some of the geniuses to the Origin Division. I've already been warned to be careful of being recruited by the Origin Division and being targeted by them. A few days ago, someone tried to rope me in with the same tone as you. You're also a traitor. Li Hansong said angrily, before my master died, he said not to walk the origin path. You're the ancestor of the Sky Arm continent, and I thought you were also determined to walk the beginner martial continent. Who knew you also wanted to walk the origin path? No wonder you kept testing me. Did you think that if I walked the origin path, I would be part of your family? Heavenly Arm was speechless. There seemed to be nothing wrong with what he said. But how did this old man become a beginner martial trader? Also, this silly kid was quite daring to talk to him like this. Heavenly Arm smiled and did not say much. He said with a smile, Origin and beginner martial are actually both Taos, so why must you be so stubborn? Iron Fist, if you really want to walk the origin path, it's actually nothing. Being stubborn in the beginner martial continent is what you're doing. My master said to walk the beginner martial continent, so I'll walk the beginner martial continent. I won't walk the origin path. My master said, my jade bones are almost there. I'm not stupid to give up now. Heavenly Arm looked at him again and said slowly, Today in the Sky Arm continent, the only one with true jade bones is this old man. And those with fake jade bones have different degrees of jade bones, but there aren't many of them. Including you, there are only 6 of them. The other 5 have cultivated for many years, but they are still unable to walk the Tao of jade bones. And these people have different bone strengths. Some have strong arms, some have strong leg bones, some have strong skull bones, and you have strong jade bones all over your body. Heavenly Arm looked at him and said, If that's the case, besides this old man, you're the beginner martial artist who walked the furthest on the Tao of flesh in the Sky Arm continent. Yes, Ironhead's entire body was strong. Of course, his brain was the strongest. Heavenly Arm could see that, but the other parts of his body were also very strong, and the degree of jade was very high. Oh, Ironhead looked at him with a blank face. So what if it was? Heavenly Arm was a little tired. Why was this guy so stupid? Could it be that this was the heart of a child, and this was the reason why he could walk so fast. Heavenly Arm thought for a moment and suddenly said, "Are you willing to be my disciple?" No. Li Han Song shook his head. "My master was killed by a demonic beast. I only have one master, and I won't be taking anyone as my disciple." "You," Heavenly Arm laughed and said, "do you know that this old man has broken through 8 among the strongest in the 3 realms? Although I can't match Heavenly King Zhenwang and the others, I'm not weaker than Feng and the others, especially Feng, who is ranked high, but when he meets this old man, if we fight, the odds are 37 and I win 70. Feng was best at sealing the source, but he didn't. If he fought with Feng, he had a higher chance of winning." Oh, Li Han Song still said the same thing, and he wasn't surprised. "You are very strong, but why do I have to be your disciple? If you want to teach me martial arts, can't you just teach me directly? There's no use calling me teacher, right?" Li Han Song grinned and said, "Just like that disciple of yours. He calls you teacher, but I don't see how much respect he has for you." "Are you talking about Yulong?" Heavenly Arm smiled and quickly sighed. "You're right. He walked the path of the source, and from then on he actually changed. Maybe in his eyes, this old man is stubborn and stubborn. Beginner martial artists should be destroyed, and I should walk the path of the source. That way, I won't hold many people back." "But he doesn't understand," Heavenly Arm sighed and said, "the battle between the source and beginner martial artists isn't just a battle of Tao orthodoxies. It's a battle of survival. The source suppresses beginner martial artists, but it's not just suppressing beginner martial artists. It's suppressing the martial path. Humans cultivate their physical bodies to become stronger and their spiritual senses to develop their potential. However, the source becomes stronger. In the same realm, the difference between beginner martial artists and source martial artists becomes greater as they advance. A beginner martial artist's Heavenly King's physical body is extremely strong. A Heavenly King's source amplifies it many times, but his physical body is weaker than some beginner martial emperors. There's a huge problem with the Tao of the source." Heavenly Arm said solemnly, "There's definitely a serious problem and flaw. We fight not just for the Tao orthodoxies, but also for the survival of the 3 realms. We're afraid that one day the 3 realms will really forget the beginner martial artists and walk the path of the source. When that day comes, once there's a problem with the source, the 3 realms will regress. Humans will also forget the martial path to develop their potential. With the destruction of the beginner martial artists and the problem with the source, the martial path of the 3 realms will end here." Li Han Song said in surprise, "It's that serious?" "Of course," Heavenly Arm said in a deep voice, "if there's no problem with the source, do you think the 9 sovereigns will stay in the source universe? Do you think the Immortal Source Project will start? Everything is to solve these problems. The reason the beginner martial artists haven't been destroyed yet is because the sovereigns still need us. They know that some problems with the source cannot be solved. They might leave us behind to solve these problems. They might even treat us as seeds. If the source really collapses, we might return to the beginner martial stage." Li Han Song was confused and asked, "Then what's the problem with the source?" "I don't know. If I knew, it wouldn't be like this. The 9 sovereigns for emperors and the one who created the source probably know," Heavenly Arm thought and said, "the war 30,000 years ago was for the struggle of the orthodoxies. But the war 8,000 years ago was not for the orthodoxies. You broke 8. Did you not participate in the war 8,000 years ago? Why don't you know? This old man is joining the battle." Heavenly Arm smiled bitterly. "However, I wasn't the core back then. Fist God and the others were. Fist God and the others said that the 9 emperors wanted to destroy Chuwu, so we naturally had to fight back. That's why the war broke out. Just like the previous battle, no one had expected such an intense battle to break out. It was only after the battle that they realized they had been used. In the end, it also led to the destruction of the Heaven Realm. You broke it. No. Heavenly Arm sighed and said, there is someone else. The 9 sovereigns have their own internal problems. We can only say that it was a coincidence. He told Li Hansong a lot, but Li Hansong was still confused. Then why are you telling me all this? Heavenly Arm's heart was tired. Weren't you the one who asked? You asked. And this old man casually said a few words. How did it become me who said it? The more he looked at this fool, the dumber he became. Li Hansong pretended to be confused. But he knew in his heart that the Chu Wu lineage was only a participant back then, not the leader. The true battle that destroyed the heaven realm was not caused by these people. Instead, it was the 9 sovereigns for emperors and possibly others, who made use of Chu Wu. Fist God and the others might know some inside information, but Heavenly Arm was stupid and went to participate in the battle without knowing anything. Heavenly Arm stopped talking about this and said with a smile, You want to walk the true Chu Wu path? Is that so? Yes. If you want, I actually have a way to help you forge your jade bones. Li Hansong's eyes lit up. You can help me? That's right. Heavenly Arm smiled and said, It's fine if you don't want to be my disciple. I actually only have one request for you. Don't let the Chu Wu go extinct. Heavenly Arm sighed and said, The origin lineage actually knows and recognizes all the Chu Wu experts today. Once we are defeated in the future, we will probably be punished. Although I feel that even if you forge your jade bones now, you won't be able to participate in the battle in time, it's still a good thing. If you don't participate in the battle, not many people will know you. That way, you might be overlooked when the punishment comes. Heavenly Arm sighed and said, Even the Heavenly Arm continent is not safe. The origin lineage has infiltrated too deeply, and some geniuses are known by the origin lineage. You are also a genius, but you don't even have true God battle strength. If you suddenly disappear, no one will care about you. But if you forge your jade bones and hide after the battle, you can live for a long time. That way, the Chu Wu won't be completely destroyed. At this moment, Li Hansong finally knew what he was thinking. Heavenly Arm was very pessimistic, or rather, that was how it was. The Chu Wu lineage had almost no chance of winning. In the end, they might go extinct. If the experts were known by the origin lineage, they would probably be converted to the origin lineage, even if they did not die. If they were too weak, they could not bear the role of inheriting the Chu Wu. If they were too strong, everyone would know. And Li Hansong had just appeared in front of everyone. He was not strong, but he had half jade bones. Perhaps he could become a Chu Wu seed. Li Hansong understood and was very surprised. This was the first time they met. He had only seen this person a few times before and had never interacted with him. Heavenly Arm trusted him so much that he wanted to nurture him as a Chu Wu seed. Forging jade bones was probably not that simple, right? Heavenly Arm did not care about what he thought. At this moment, he said in a low voice, If you are the reincarnation of Celestial Emperor Batian, that is actually good. Celestial Emperor Batian received kindness from me and many other Chu Wu martial artists in the past. He will not let the Chu Wu lineage go extinct. If you are not, then you are a genius of the Chu Wu lineage, a monster. Actually, I also hope that the Chu Wu lineage will have someone like Fang Ping. You are not willing to become my disciple or kneel to me. I know that if you are not the reincarnation of Celestial Emperor Batian, then you are really a fool. If you are a pawn planted by other origin powerhouses, it is actually better for you to become my disciple. Li Hansong actually wanted to say that might not be the case. Did he not know how to play hard to get? This old man seemed to be a fool. Did not becoming his disciple or kneeling to him mean anything? This fool, no wonder he was tricked into participating in the battle back then. Li Hansong sympathized. He had already broken 8. Why was he still so childish? However, from what he said, did the origin really have pawns planted in the Chu Wu continent? Heavenly Arm did not know what he was thinking. He said in a low voice, Do you know why the Chu Wu lineage can forge jade bones, but the origin can't? If the Origin wants to forge true jade bones, they must break the door. After breaking the door, a large amount of life force will emerge to help them forge bones. For the Chu Wu lineage, there is no door to break. So why can they do it? Because our flesh is strong. Fool! Heavenly Arm felt tired. He was really stupid. The Origin body was also strong, but it could not forge jade bones. This was not a problem of the flesh being strong or not. Forging bones requires a large amount of life force, a lot of it, unbelievably much. This is also why it is so difficult for jade bones to appear in the Chu Wu lineage. Even I, who forge jade bones, only my arms are the strongest. The other parts are slightly weaker because it is difficult for the Chu Wu lineage to provide the powerful life force to help you forge bones. Then you said you can help me? Wait for me to finish. Heavenly Arm thought for a while and said slowly, this group of people, the people who forged jade bones, not counting the Origin, are only Chu Wu lineage. How could they forge jade bones in that era? Back then, where did the life force come from to help us forge bones? Not many people know about this. In the first batch of Chu Wu lineage, there were only a few people who walked the physical Tao. Less than 10 people succeeded in forging jade bones. Now a few have died and there are even fewer left. Li Hansong nodded. There were even fewer left. The only Chu Wu lineage martial artists who had forged jade bones were probably this old man and the god of the underworld. As for those in the heavenly tomb, he was not too sure. Everything originated from a seed. Li Hansong was stunned, but Heavenly Arm was not. He said telepathically, a seed. I suspect that the Origin Tao's forging of jade bones and powerful life force might also originate from that seed. What seed? The seed of rebirth. Li Hansong was really stunned this time. What did that mean? He had not heard of the seed of rebirth for a long time. After the war, it seemed like the seed of rebirth was just something that Hong Yu had said casually. But now, what was Heavenly Arm saying? It's a seed, but I don't know whether it's the seed of rebirth or not. However, back then, we obtained a large amount of life force from this seed and forged our jade bones. Back then, the Celestial Emperor defeated many Chu Wu lineage martial artists and won their jade bones. However, those people's jade bones were not real jade bones. Later on, the Celestial Emperor used the Origin Tao to forge the powerful jade bones of his entire body. This old man feels that it's the life force provided by that seed that allowed him to forge an incomparably powerful skeleton. However, he might not have succeeded. Heavenly Arm continued. If he had succeeded, I believe that his jade body might not be broken by anyone, not even a martial emperor. Seed, Li Hansong muttered. Heavenly Arm smiled and said, That's right. Therefore, I want to try and send you to the seed and see if you can absorb some life force. Do you know where it is? I don't know. Heavenly Arm shook his head and chuckled. But you don't understand. Just because you don't know doesn't mean you can't find it. Do you know about the Chu Wu lineage? I think I've heard of it. Return to the source and rebuild the Chu Wu lineage. Heavenly Arm said in a low voice, I want to send you back to the Chu Wu lineage. Perhaps you'll have a chance to find that seed. Even if you can't, there's a chance that you can see the projection of the seed. A projection is enough. Today, the powerful figures from the Origin Tao only broke through the Void Gate when they broke through 8 levels. Behind the Void Gate, there's only the power of a projection. However, this power can allow powerful figures to break through 8 levels and forge jade bones. That means that the power projected is enough for you to forge jade bones. Perhaps what we saw back then was just a projection. Li Hansong was really surprised. The seed of rebirth. Did the seed of rebirth really exist? Not only did it exist, but it had existed from the Chu Wu lineage to the present, 30 to 40,000 years. The seed of rebirth that Hong Yu mentioned was not fake. Could it be that there really was a seed of rebirth on Earth? Li Hansong asked immediately. I heard that the war between the Earth realm and the human realm was for the seed of rebirth. Is there really a seed of rebirth in the human realm? Heavenly Arm shook his head. I'm not sure about that. The 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors might know more than we do, so it's possible. Otherwise, they wouldn't have schemed against the 3 realms. Whether it's true or not, I'm not sure. Oh, Li Hansong did not ask any more. Heavenly Arm said, Don't tell anyone else what I've told you. Think about it yourself. Do you want to go back to the source or look for the seed? Perhaps this time you won't be able to return. Heavenly Arm said sadly, Even if you can't return, you can give Chu Wu a sliver of hope. If one day you can forge jade bones and return, perhaps Chu Wu can rise again. Li Hansong was conflicted. You're not sure. You want to use me as a guinea pig. Where are you sending me? Li Hansong fell into deep thought. Should I agree now? He was conflicted. It was a pity that Fong Ping was not around. Otherwise he could ask Fong Ping. This old man might not have good intentions. Chapter 1263. Global High Martial Arts book is still here and is being updated as usual. Please wait for a moment. After the content is updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1264. Li Hansong looked forward to Fong Ping's decision, but Fong Ping was currently struggling. Yes, struggling. After refining the Saint Token and Heavenly King Seal, Fong Ping's strength had changed greatly. With so many Saint Tokens and Heavenly King Seals, Fong Ping had broken through despite the difficulty of expanding the source world. At this moment, however, Fong Ping was pondering an extremely important question. Should he continue balancing? Wealth, 300 billion points vitality, 3,500,000 calories, 3,500,000 calories, mentality, 29,999 hertz, 29,999 hertz, jade bones, 2% source world, 910 meters combat techniques, god-slaying sword techniques, plus 9%, return to 1, spirituality path, 100 calories vitality to 1 hertz mentality physique path, 1 hertz mentality to 100 calories vitality, irreversible, strength control, 95% ultimate outburst. 362-4250 cal /3815000 cal, 31 Saint Tokens, and 6 Heavenly King Seals had increased Fong Ping's basic vitality to 5 million calories. However, the growth of his mentality was slower and could not keep up. If he balanced it again, his vitality would decrease further. Fong Ping was hesitant this time. If I didn't balance it last time, my basic vitality would be higher. Now, my basic vitality should be close to 4 million. Fong Ping fell into deep thought. After balancing, he could control force. However, it was very troublesome to do so. In that case, what stage would he be able to achieve a perfect balance between his chi, blood, and spiritual power? Would there be a scene where he no longer had mentality and vitality, but directly turned into force? If so, he did not need to balance it all the time. Moreover, once he could directly generate force, it would be much easier. Thinking of this, Fong Ping suddenly took out his phone. Yes, a phone. In the sea, Fong Ping's phone signal was still strong. Soon he dialed a number. As soon as the call went through, Fong Ping said, "Go find my godfather." Let my godfather answer the phone. In Star Town, Jiang Chao looked like he was about to collapse. Hurry up! What are you waiting for? Godfather, come out. Stop hiding and pick up the phone. Fong Ping knew that Heavenly King Garrison was still in Star Town. With his strength, he would definitely hear the call. In less than 3 seconds, Heavenly King Garrison said tiredly, "What is it now?" Godfather, my ass. He hated this title now. He wanted to beat Fong Ping to death. Godfather, how can you maintain force? I think those Monarch Realm experts are using origin power. There were also people who recognized origin power earlier. Do they all start using origin power after reaching the Monarch Realm? Yes and no. Heavenly King Jin did not scold him anymore. This was a serious matter. Hearing this, he quickly said, "Origin power is actually very difficult to be born. By chance, some vitality force will accidentally collide force and vitality by ping. By force by ping ping accidentally. Origin is as ping fong ping ping force is to ming. Long force is ping force. But that doesn't mean that origin power isn't strong. Origin power is born from the collision of mental strength and vital energy. When we martial artists break through the eighth realm and slowly walk towards the imperial path, you'll find that you will gradually find some balance." Heavenly King, subduing thought for a moment, and said, "You broke through a gate, such as the gate of qi and blood. Your power of qi and blood is strong, so it will suppress your spiritual power. King God gate is qi King God ping seal through, King ping King God. If you break both gates, then you can maintain a relative balance. At this time, it will be easier for you to produce origin power." The emperors used origin force because they broke through the 3 doors. Of course, they didn't have doors back then, but that was the theory. With all 3 doors broken, only powerful vitality can maintain the circulation of origin power and prevent it from harming one's body. On the contrary, it can temper one's body. The Heavenly King, subduing, explained everything to Fong Ping in detail. He continued, "The birth of force is usually exclusive to those who have broken through 8 gates. Under normal circumstances, it's also exclusive to powerhouses who have broken through 2 gates. This can also be considered as a transformation process towards becoming an emperor. Then why didn't you use your origin power? Did he hide his strength? Are you planning to fight the emperor to a draw?" Heavenly King Zhen almost died of anger. He admired Zhang Tao more. After being in contact with Fong Ping for so long, he was still alive. "Cut the crap," the heavenly monarch snorted. "It's not worth it if I don't use origin power. Although I broke through 2 gates, they weren't the gates of mentality and vitality force, but the gate of life and the gate of vitality. The gate of mentality wasn't broken. In this way, if I want to use origin power, I need to go through a conversion process. During this process, I will lose a lot of strength. Not only that, I need time and I need to maintain it myself. After thinking about it, if I used origin power, I might not be as free as I am now. It will weaken my strength. Do you understand?" Fong Ping understood. "Then, after breaking through the 3 gates, I can use origin power freely." "Difficult," the heavenly monarch denied. "It's not that simple. How can you accurately maintain that kind of balance in quantity? If vitality is stronger than mentality, then using origin power will waste a portion of vitality force. The opposite is also true unless the gap between the 2 is not big. At this time, some emperors will use origin power to enhance their own strength. At the end of the day, it's still a problem of price-performance ratio." The heavenly monarch spoke plainly. He smiled and said, "If the gap between the 2 is not big and you can produce origin power, then using origin power is much more cost-effective. If the gap is too big, then it's not as good as unique strength. Do you understand?" "I understand. The essence of origin power can probably reach twice the vitality, which is the effect of a qualitative change. If the 2 are balanced, origin power is more cost-effective, right?" "That's right," the heavenly monarch agreed. "For example, if my vitality is 10 million calories and my mentality is 100,000 hertz, then if I fuse it into origin power, I might be able to explode 2,000 calories vitality strength. However, your vitality is 10 million calories and your mentality is 50,000 hertz. After you fuse, you might only be able to explode 10 million calories vitality strength. Not only that, but it will also waste your mentality and you will need to convert and consume some strength. In this way, you will realize in the end that origin power is not as smooth and powerful as your vitality force." At this point, the heavenly monarch added, "Moreover, not everyone can do this. Origin power has very high requirements on the body. Under normal circumstances, it can only be achieved by breaking 8. You can withstand the outburst of origin power. Your body strength is probably close to breaking 8. I don't think so. Fang Ping said hesitantly. Heavenly monarchs who have broken 6 haven't reduced the amplification. The origin amplification is 3 times. Their body strength is at least 1. 2 million calories and above. Under normal circumstances, it's about 1. 5 million calories. Heavenly monarchs who have broken 7 have increased by 4 times, but their basic vitality is about 2 million calories or even higher. Breaking 8, an outburst of close to 20 million calories can break 8. Even if it's a 4 times amplification, the basic should be more than 4 million calories, right? The heavenly monarch laughed. That's right. Martial artists who have broken 8, if they don't focus on mentality, have a basic of more than 4 million calories. If I say you're close, you're definitely close to this point. No, my basic was about 3 million calories previously. That's only comparable to breaking 7, right? The heavenly monarch cursed in his heart. Only about 3 million calories. That's right. You've only cultivated for a few days, and you're comparable to breaking 7. Do you still think you're weak? No, previously. The heavenly monarch's teeth were aching. Did this guy improve a lot these few days? That's why your control of the force was a little unstable. Your flesh is breaking, and you need to repair it constantly. Other people who have broken 7 can't do what you did. When you have a body that has broken 8, if you can still produce force, your body will be able to withstand it and not be destroyed. The heavenly monarch laughed. The current you is like a child carrying a sledgehammer. You can carry it, but there's danger and you'll hurt yourself. When your body strength breaks through to 4 million calories, you'll have a body that can break 8. At that time, it'll be fine. Fang Ping rubbed his chin and thought for a while. At that time, if my vitality, force, and mentality can still maintain a balance, can I keep using the force? In theory, yes, but it can't be done under normal circumstances. The heavenly monarch sighed. Who can guarantee that they have cultivated to this point without any bias? It's impossible. Emperors are less biased. It's almost impossible for ultimate path heavenly emperors to use the force because they're much more biased. I'm fine. You let Phone and the others try using the force. Even if their strength is halved instantly, they might not be able to fight a break 7. That's true. Phone is more useless. The heavenly monarch was too lazy to speak. Phone, who had broken 8, had become useless. Only you could say that. Anything else? Nothing. Fang Ping was about to hang up when he suddenly said, There's one more thing. Where did Warlord and the others go? Don't ask. You can't go even if you ask. Is there any benefit? What do you want to do? Nothing. Just asking. Don't run around for no reason. At this moment, the heavenly monarch had to remind him. Do you feel that you've been idle recently and want to find something to do? He suspected that Fang Ping felt that these days were too idle and wanted to find something to do. Fang Ping was this kind of person. He would definitely not think wrong. Fang Ping said aggrievedly, Godfather, don't call me Godfather. The heavenly monarch was a little angry and said helplessly, Li Zhan will come out of seclusion in a few days. He can probably enter the Saint Realm. He's a descendant of King Zhen's 26th generation. Kid, behave yourself. According to the Li family's genealogy, Li Zhan was a descendant of the heavenly monarch within 10 generations. But that was what the heavenly monarch said himself. In reality, his younger brother, King Zhen, had been passed down to Li Zhen's generation for 26 generations. This was also considering that martial artists lived for a long time. Otherwise, how could there be so few descendants after tens of thousands of years? In the past, King Zhen and the others could not cultivate any further, so they found a partner and left behind descendants. No matter what, they were dozens of generations of descendants anyway. This fellow Fang Ping shamelessly called him Godfather. What did Li Zhen call him? Ancestor. If Li Zhen knew, he would be furious. Fang Ping pursed his lips. We're talking about our own things. What's wrong with that? Cut the crap. If you have something to say, look for that kid Zhang Tao. Don't look for me. I'm not close to you. The heavenly monarch wanted to hang up. He and Fang Ping were not close. Yes, not close. Anyway, just don't bother me. As for Zhang Tao, he was not a good person either. If he fought with Fang Ping, it was hard to say who would be at a disadvantage. Fang Ping only knew how to bully honest people. If he had the guts, he could fight with Zhang Tao every day. Don't hang up yet. One more question. Fang Ping said hurriedly, when I advanced to peerless in the past, my vitality changed once. Now that I've severed my Tao, the change in my vitality still exists. If I take another Tao now and walk to 1,000 meters, will there be a second change? As soon as he said that, the heavenly monarch thought of Fang Ping's situation. His expression turned solemn. He pondered for a moment and said, Your Tao. I can't see through it now, and I've never experienced such a situation. If I'm not mistaken, the Tao that you and Song Mao walked might be somewhat similar. You've taken a unique Tao. You have sharp eyes. No wonder you're a powerhouse who calls the emperor brother. Shut up! The heavenly monarch scolded and continued. If that's the case, if you walk to 1,000 meters again, there should be a superposition of multiple Taos. According to the previous situation where some people walked multiple Taos, there was no qualitative change, but there was a superposition of the origin. On your side, I've sensed it. It should be strengthening yourself and going through unification. This superposition of the origin might increase your physique. In other words, you might have a qualitative change, but it might not be a multiplier. Instead, it might be a superposition of half of the accumulation of the second Tao. Of course, there might be a third, a fourth. If that's the case, in the end, you can almost achieve the effect of a qualitative change. As soon as he said that, Fang Ping's eyes lit up. Now that you've said it, I'm suddenly enlightened. It seems to make sense. If that's the case, I still have a chance to go through another qualitative change. If that's the case, Fang Ping swallowed his saliva. He felt that he would become stronger very quickly. Once he reached the origin of 1,000 meters, his vitality would go through a qualitative change, and his base would exceed 7 million calories. At that time, his physique would exceed breakthrough 8, and he could withstand the force. If the force went through another doubling, he could reach the base of 14 million calories. When that time came, Fang Ping would become a breakthrough 7 existence. Not only his physique, but because the force was a kind of synthesis, it could also be seen as a mentality, breakthrough 7 existence. There was also jade bones. Once the forging was successful, there would be another qualitative change. Fang Ping's vitality would exceed 28 million calories, or even about 30 million, a powerhouse in breakthrough 8. At this moment, Fang Ping had a clear idea. As long as he completed 3 transformations, his vitality could definitely reach about 30 million calories. Of these 3, it seemed that expanding the source world was the best choice at the moment. Next was the force. In fact, as long as the source world reached that point, the force might be able to go through a logical transformation. Lastly was jade bones. After sorting out these, Fang Ping let out a long sigh of relief. Sensing that Heavenly King Subduer was about to hang up, he said again, Can you tell me, how strong is your explosive force now? Breakthrough 8 was usually above 20 million calories. As for Heavenly King Subduer, he was afraid that it would be much stronger. Heavenly King Subduer said faintly, Testing my strength to find a chance to compete with me? I don't mean that. I haven't beaten old Zhang up yet. Heavenly King Subduer was tired. Was that not what he meant? After beating Zhang Tao, he would come and attack him. Among those who have broken breakthrough 8, Hong Kuan has broken breakthrough 8 for a few years. The limit is about 25 million calories, and the strength control is about 90%. You do the math yourself. Fang Ping raised his eyebrows. King Kuan's explosive force was more than 22 million. and King Kuin ranked last among those who had broken Origin 8. In that case, Heavenly King Subduer, who had broken 2 gates, was probably around 30 million. Fong Ping said again, 2 gates 30 million, 3 gates 40 million. Is it like this? More or less? Fong Ping exhaled. In that case, Heavenly King Subduer had at least 30 million. Powerful indeed. But Fong Ping could not help but say, so you used to be evenly matched with a 1,000,000 Cal Vitality Paragon, and you used 30 million to fight 1,000,000? Heavenly King Subduer could not help but curse in a low voice. At that time, the patrolmen were hiding in the dark. Once I made a move, I would be the target of everyone. Do you think it's now? Even breaking 8 has been exposed. At that time, there was no one who had broken 8. If you made a move, you would be asking for death, and the 3 realms would destroy you. Heavenly Hound had shown its ability to break 8, but it was killed in the blink of an eye. What do you think? No matter how strong I am, can I resist those people joining forces? Once war breaks out, I'm fine, but what about you guys now? Star Suppressing City has been destroyed dozens of times. Now, you brat, you know how to insult people. Are you trying to say that I don't contribute? Fong Ping said innocently, don't be so agitated, I didn't mean it that way. I was just saying. Oh, right, do you have anything else to remind me of? Don't wait until I ask. Don't cause trouble. Heavenly King Subduer humphed. Let me remind you, previously they joined forces to kill emperors. But it doesn't mean that these people are really of one mind with you. If there's a chance to kill you, no one will mind. There might only be one way to become an emperor. If you become an emperor, others can't. Go into closed-door cultivation if you have nothing to do. Don't wander around. Understood? Fong Ping answered readily, but Heavenly King Subduer felt that he had said nothing. At this moment, he could not be bothered to say anything more. He opened his mouth and said, I don't need the vitality force that you collected previously. Give some to Li Chongshen. His Tao is also very special. 1 strong is stronger than 100. His flesh is strong, everything is strong. If you help him hone it, perhaps he will soon possess the true combat strength of a saint. Li Chongshen's Tao consumes more resources. I can't afford it. You, on the other hand, have hope of supporting it. This way, the human race will also have one more powerhouse. He really could not afford to support Old Manly. It consumed too many resources. However, Fong Ping could really do it. This kid had been supporting Old Manly since he was in the middle ranks. That was how he had the longevity soared today. If it were someone else, Old Manly might still be in the crowd now. Fong Ping laughed. Understood. You don't need to remind me about this. I will do it. Then I'll hang up. As he said this, the phone call was hung up. Heavenly King Subduer could not be bothered to say anything more to him. He could not wait to hang up. Fong Ping pursed his lips. This old man did not know how to be polite at all. Previously, when I asked the emperor, he did not say anything. He did not ask for any resources. He did not even care about the method of becoming an emperor. Could this old man be asking about his master? Fong Ping had also heard of Heavenly King Subduer's master, Sun God. He was a very mysterious person. He had actually met him once at Heavenly Wood. Back then, Heavenly King Subduer's master asked Heavenly King Subduer to guard the human world. Heavenly King Subduer was also entrusted by his master to guard the human world for 8,000 years. For now, it seemed that the human race owed this person a big favor. However, Fong Ping did not know what the other party's purpose was. Now, he did not know whether the other party was alive or dead. It was really hard to say. The other party was the human race's ally. I don't care about this. My foundation is still not strong. Let's install the Tao first. I don't know how much the saint-level Tao will be compressed this time. Fong Ping was ready to install the Tao. It sounded ridiculous, but he would install it. But this was the truth. Fong Ping was now using the Tao as a consumable. When he was used up, he would break it. As for the balance, Fang Ping felt that he could slow it down for now. When he needed it, he could balance it again. However, it was not balanced. His jade bone honing did not seem to have made any progress. He could feel this. The effect of the force honing jade bone seemed to be quite good. The activation of his jade bone was probably not simply related to the absorption of so much vitality force. It was more likely that it was due to the previous outburst. The force had forcefully honed his body, which was why he had forged the jade bone. After installing the Tao, Fang Ping was prepared to expend a lot of energy this time to strengthen his combat technique. At that time, the improvement of his strength would also reach the upper limit. If he went to find the God Creation Envoy and get himself a good saber, Fang Ping's harvest this time would almost be completely digested. After digesting the harvest this time, I'll see how to act. Fang Ping did not plan to stay in closed-door cultivation. He was not cut out for that. If he wanted to become stronger, he had to take risks. It would be best if he could seize King Kuan and King Qian's Heavenly King seals. Very soon, Fang Ping entered the Origin Realm. The Origin Realm helped him a lot. Without this thing, even if he could replace the Tao, he would not be able to do it. He had to say that the Origin Realm that Sher Pagat was a good treasure. It was not inferior to a divine weapon. Half an hour later, Fang Ping walked out of the Origin Realm. He was not in a hurry to come out. Fang Ping began to continue his closed-door cultivation, practicing combat technique. A million wealth was nothing to Fang Ping now. Fang Ping quickly deduced and practiced combat technique. The time it took was much longer than replacing the Tao. This time, Fang Ping's closed-door cultivation time was indeed much longer than the previous times. However, the harvest was also incomparably huge. On the last day of May, it was almost June. Fang Ping opened his eyes and stopped practicing combat technique. The improvement this time was almost over. Compared to before, his strength was also completely different. Wealth: 295 billion points vitality, 3,500,000 calories, 3,500,000 calories. Mentality: 29,999 hertz, 29,999 hertz. Jade bones: 2% origin world, 9-10 meters combat technique, God-slaying saber technique, plus 10%, origin Tao, plus 200%, pseudo Tao, return to one, spiritual consciousness Tao, 100 calories vitality to 1 hertz mentality physique Tao, 1 hertz mentality to 100 calories vitality, irreversible, strength control, 90% ultimate outburst, 976 5000 cal /10850 cal breakthrough 7. Around 10 million cal could break through 7. Fang Ping's outburst did not include weapons. With weapons, he could easily reach the stage of breakthrough 7. This time, he had really reached breakthrough 7. Kaboom! Fang Ping tested it out and threw a punch. At this moment, he did not use any weapons. However, a golden 7-petal lotus appeared in the space. Ha ha ha. Fang Ping laughed proudly. Awesome. After he installed the pseudo Tao, he had broken through 7. Saint-level Tao only gave him an Emperor-level boost, but it was enough. At this moment, Fang Ping had reached the stage of breakthrough 7 for the first time without the help of other external forces. As for Zhang Tao, he might not be able to stabilize his breakthrough 7. I really want to go beat up old Zhang now, Fang Ping murmured, a little expectant and a little excited. Old Zhang's breakthrough 7 last time was not very stable. His strength should be about the same as Fang Ping's. However, Fang Ping's golden body was stronger than his. If they really fought, he might not be Fang Ping's opponent. I really want to go. What should I do? Fang Ping grimaced. It was going to be June soon. He started practicing martial arts in April of year 08, which was only a little more than 3 years. He had actually become so powerful. He really admired himself. Absolute martial arts is rank 10, Saint rank 12. Breakthrough 6 should be rank 13. Breakthrough 7 means rank 14. Fong Ping licked his lips. I said I would reach rank 4 in a year. In these 4 years, I should reach rank 16. Doesn't that mean I have to break 9? There's still 10 months to 4 years. Fong Ping was getting more and more nervous. Could he break 9 in 10 months? He was so worried that he could not reach it. Time waits for no man. I have to work hard. Right now, with the pseudo-Tao, I can only barely break 7. Breaking 9 is a long way off. I can't slack off. Fong Ping warned himself not to get carried away. He still had a long way to go. He hoped that the 4-year goal could be achieved in advance. Moreover, the pseudo-Tao was a pseudo-Tao after all. He had to remember that his true strength was only peak emperor level. He had not even reached the level of a saint. No, my great Tao is only 900 meters. I'm actually only rank 9. Fong Ping said quietly. Yes, he was only rank 9. Chapter 1265. Shanghai. Compared to a few days ago, the current demonic city had changed a lot. The energy was so abundant that Fong Ping thought that he had come to the wrong place. In Magic City, not far away from Magic City, there was a saint-grade sky wood, a lofty skycat tree, and a large number of rank 9 monster plants. In addition, there were also many experts. The experts absorbed energy from all directions, and the current demonic city was like a paradise. This was how Fong Ping felt when he went to the blessed grotto heaven. In the blink of an eye, the same thing happened to Earth. Not only that, but there were also many other effects from the battle with Emperor Huang. Fong Ping had assimilated Magic City. The powerhouses in Magic City had more or less reciprocated with his improvement in strength. Moreover, the moment the Qi and Blood Gate was broken, the human experts also felt their Qi and blood flow much smoother. Their improvement was also very obvious. Not only that, when the immortal source dripped blood, some of the blood mist-seeped in, allowing many people to improve. That could be the immortal origin blood, which was also the 10,000 paths of blood that the god-forging envoy wanted to take. This thing was definitely a treasure. That day, when the god-crafting envoy wanted it, the emperors were silent for a period of time. Zhang Tao had also offered a lot of conditions, but when the emperor gave it to him, he did not hesitate at all. From this, it could be seen that this blood was no ordinary treasure. Macmao. Fong Ping stepped into MCMAU once again. He had not been here for some time, and MCMAU had once again undergone earth-shattering changes. Today's MCMAU was also one of the holy lands of martial arts. Experts were as common as clouds. Fong Ping, Li Changsheng, and Wu Quishan were all from MCMAU. Below the pinnacle, there were countless powerhouses in MCMAU. Recently, there were almost more than 30 rank 9 powerhouses in MCMAU. More and more people advanced to the 9th grade, and it seemed much easier to step into Origin. The Origin was close to the human world, so it was much easier to walk the Great Tao. The moment Fong Ping stepped into MCMAU, silhouettes after silhouettes streaked across the sky toward him. Fong Ping was stunned for a moment, only to realize that these people were all staring at him. He could not help but touch his face, amused. What's wrong? Why are they all looking at me like that? It was as if they didn't know each other. In the crowd, Lu Fengru did not speak. Suddenly, she flashed her Sanjiao gate. Among them, the Vitality Gate appeared before Fong Ping's eyes, revealing a row of words. What a strange feeling. The Sanjiao Gate that used to be incomparably mysterious had an additional line of Fong Ping's words today. He always felt that this thing was not as mysterious as before, nor was it as unattainable. It turned out that the Sanjiao Gate was the door that Fong Ping had almost broken earlier. Fong Ping had even carved words on it. Fong Ping laughed. What's wrong? Is this handwriting not nice? Everyone was speechless. Were they talking about this? Lu Po Lu of the older generation sighed with emotion. He suddenly raised his thumb and smiled. Good job! Fong Ping was a legend. He was a legendary martial artist who had broken the myths. Even the ancient experts trembled under his blade. Even the legendary emperor had suffered a loss at his hands. Among the humans, who was not proud of Fong Ping. The entire three realms were trembling because of Fong Ping. Fong Ping was from MCMAU. Today, no one felt that it was inappropriate for Fong Ping to be the human king. He was the human king, the pride and glory of the human race. Before this, some of the people from MCMAU were still a little uncomfortable. Fong Ping was strong, but Fong Ping was their classmate, their student. It felt unreal. However, at this moment, it wasn't so surreal anymore. He was a legend. Fong Ping laughed for a while. He glanced at the people in front of him. There were many rank 9s. Many of them were rank 9s. The younger generation, Qin Yunqi, Zhao Xuemei, Xiaolei, and Zhang Yu, were all rank 9. Fu Chongding was slightly slower than them, but he was also a rank 8 martial artist. Besides that, Yang Xiaoman, Zhao Lei, and the others had advanced to rank 8. During this period of time, there were endless battles, but the benefits were also frightening. High-ranked martial artists emerged one after another. Today, MCMAU had almost 500 high-ranked martial artists. There were many rank 7s and 7s. Many of the older instructors had advanced to high-ranked. MCMAU was getting stronger and stronger. Now, it was also active everywhere on Earth. Not only that, there was hope that MCMAU could continue to produce a few more desperation powerhouses. Mad Lion Tangfeng, Wu Wudi, and Lu Fengru. When these people stepped into rank 9, they walked hundreds of meters in a day. The new generation, Zhao Xuemei and the others, were also getting stronger and stronger. Their origin Dao was improving rapidly. Fong Ping looked at the people from MCMAU, his heart filled with endless emotions. He had poured a lot of effort into MCMAU, and MCMAU did not let him down. They were the first in every battle. The MCMAU army was also the strongest army among the human army. The average age was only about 25 years old. However, they had defeated a few strong armies in the catacombs, including the Heavenly Court army in the past and the Demon Emperor's army in the past. At this time, the instructors and students also had a weather-beaten look in their eyes. These people were no longer the same MCMAU people as before. In the past half a year, there were endless battles. Now, each of these people had become a veteran of the battlefield. After watching for a while, Fong Ping suddenly sighed. Old Wang and the others have been running around, working hard to improve their strength. I wonder how they are now. As soon as these words were said, a few people in the crowd felt a little sad. Although Wang Jinyang was not an MCMAU student, he had worked with Fong Ping a lot and often came to MCMAU. Old Wang was slightly better. On MCMAU's side, they had previously taken in First Military School. Yao Qingjun was also from First Military School. On First Military School's side, Nan Yunping was also present at this moment. When she heard this, she also felt a little sad. Ever since Yao Qingjun appeared in the last big battle and roped in Lin Hai, he had not appeared again. No one knew how he was now. If it was these few people, MCMAU's instructors and students were not too familiar with them. However, there was one person that everyone was familiar with. At this moment in the crowd, Tang Feng suddenly said, "Where did that kid Qin Fengqin go?" Qin Fengqin, this MCMAU prodigy, student had gone missing just like that. Last time, Fong Ping still knew that he was with Hong Yu. After Hong Yu entered the fake heavenly grave, there was no news of Qin Fengqin anymore. At the mention of Qin Fengqin, many people had complicated looks in their eyes. Zhang Yu and the others had an extremely good relationship with Qin Fengqin. This included Old Man Li. Qin Fengqin's father and Old Man Li were from the same sect. They were from the same sect and had the same teacher. Qin Fengqing was his nephew. However, ever since the emperor's tomb, Qin Fengqing left the human world and had never returned. After the big battles again and again, they could no longer see the figure of that fellow who dared to fight and kill in the past. Disappeared. Perhaps he was already dead. No one knew if he was alive or dead. The three realms were very big. The Forbidden Sea was vast and boundless. Even beginner martial powerhouses could only occupy a corner of the sea. If they entered the Forbidden Sea, it was almost impossible to find the whereabouts of a rank 9. Fang Ping laughed. Who knows where he went? Maybe he got lucky and caught the eye of the emperor and was taken in as a disciple. Who cares? It's best if this fellow comes back to help us in battle when he's strong. If he's not strong, it's the same whether he comes back or not. Tang Feng wanted to say something, but stopped. He did not say anything else. Fang Ping did not continue this topic. He looked at the crowd and smiled. There are quite a lot of MCMAU rank 9 martial artists. However, other than Old Wu, who has reached the peak, the instructors seem to have relaxed. No one else has stepped into the peak. Everyone laughed bitterly. It was not that simple. Just half a year ago, desperate rel powerhouses were still known as invincible powerhouses. In the past 100 years, other than those in the later stages, how many new people had reached the peak in the past few decades? Of course, it was much better now than before. All kinds of resources were abundant, including the Great Path. It was easier to walk, but to step into the peak, it was not something that could be done overnight. As Fang Ping was speaking, a figure appeared in front of him instantly. Fang Ping laughed and said quickly, "You came uninvited. You might be a spy." Boom! He threw a punch. The figure who had just appeared raised his hand to block, but instantly felt an immense pressure. He did not resist, took a step back, and scolded. "You're still fooling around at a time like this." Zhang Tao frowned and shouted, "You're the human king, the leader of the external war. You're still acting like a child, attacking for no reason. There are so many people watching. Don't you think you're not mature enough?" Young people will always be young people. No matter how strong they are, they're still a little impetuous. Also, it's not easy to cultivate vitality. With this vitality, you can kill a few enemies. Don't you know that in the past humans had no resources? In order to kill enemies, they had to calculate every card of vitality. Although the environment is much better now, and the conditions are much better, we still have to remember the hardships of the past, and such hardships have also trained many people. Human martial artists, the older generation martial artists, have good control of their strength, but the younger generation is much worse. All of this is because you don't know how to save and you don't know how to use your strength carefully. It was an endless stream of words, talking nonstop. At this moment, the group of MCMAU newcomers were ashamed. The minister was right. We have forgotten the pain of the past. Every card of vitality should be used separately. We can only waste this vitality when we kill enemies. How can we waste it so easily? Fang Ping was mentally exhausted. Old Zhang was so cunning. When he threw a punch, Old Zhang felt the pressure. He immediately did not take the blow, but dodged it directly. As a result, he had no words to refute his reasoning. What could he say? Old Zhang had dodged it. Zhang Tao kept a straight face, his expression serious. He scolded Fang Ping for a while, full of the minister's demeanor. After the scolding, Old Zhang ignored him. He put his hands behind his back, looked at everyone, and said, "Those who have reached rank 9 should strive toward the pinnacle. I have discussed with the other heavenly kings and asked if we can quickly advance to the pinnacle." Zhang Tao paused and said, "There is a way. A powerhouse's origin is strong. It is possible to forcefully help a rank 9 martial artist to open up the origin. I have also asked seniorly about this. His opinion is that it is possible, but not worth it." As soon as he said this, Fang Ping could not help but look at Zhang Tao. Zhang Tao said in a low voice, "It is not worth it. You have to understand that helping a rank 9 open up the great path requires too many things. Origin chi, mentality, even vitality. Just like before the Devil Emperor died, he helped Gong Yuzi open up the great path. He consumed himself and used up the last of his strength to help Gong Yuzi open up the great path. Of course, Gong Yuzi was already a venerable emperor at that time. His strength was extremely powerful. There is still a huge gap between a rank 9 and a venerable emperor. Helping a rank 9 open up the great path doesn't require that much effort. But for a heavenly king martial artist, it is still not worth it to spend these resources to nurture a pinnacle," Fang Ping said. "Since we can help, I think it is not a bad idea. We do not lack things like origin chi. Previously, the emperor compensated a lot. I have a lot too. As for vitality, it can be replenished with imperishable substances, right? If not, we can use life essence. Isn't Senior Heavenly Wood here? I will provide Senior Heavenly Wood with some treasures like origin chi so that he can refine more life essence. The life essence of a saint-level powerhouse can still replenish some vitality." Zhang Tao laughed. "I knew you would agree. So after some discussion, we decided to give it a try. Of course, we can't help everyone open up the great path. We don't have that much energy. What I mean is we can choose some people. This time, it is not only Sino Nation." Zhang Tao said in a low voice, "Every country in the world has suffered heavy losses. Many older powerhouses have fallen, but a pinnacle has not been born yet. Their strength is weakening. This time, every country has some places. The 6 Holy Lands have places. Sino Nation and other countries also have places. Not only that, Dragon Transformation and Mystic Virtue also have places. Other than that, Immortal Quest Island will also give some places. Because Yulong Sky and a few other families did not suffer any losses, Blacklight Sky and Observation Sky did not participate in the war. Even so, what I mean is that each family should also have a place. This way, there will be quite a number of people. If you forcefully open up the great path, without the strength of a heavenly king, even a saint will have a hard time. The great path of a saint is not stable enough. The origin is not strong enough. If someone helps open up the great path, they might get lost in the great path, lose their way in the origin universe, and disappear completely. So, this can only be done by a heavenly king, Fang Ping nodded. He did not know much about these. As for the simulated aura, there are still some differences between the origin. Fang Ping could help open up the great path, but his strength alone was limited. He might not be able to help much. If a few heavenly kings work together, it would be easier to open up the great path. Moreover, someone had to protect the great path to prevent it from collapsing. It was quite a troublesome matter. No wonder he had not heard of anyone helping open up the great path. Fang Ping did not know that the catacombs had promised King Hua to help Hua Yu open up the great path. However, that was also done by Li Zhu and Hong Yu together. Otherwise, it would be quite difficult for one person. I have no opinion on this, but Fang Ping smiled. MCMAU will have to give a few more places. Zhang Tao laughed. Sure, you can provide the resources yourself, including the compensation for the few Heavenly King seniors. That won't be a problem. Fang Ping rolled his eyes. He said it as if he was not the one who provided the resources every time. Counting on a pauper like you. Do you have the guts to say one place here and one place there? Old Zhang seemed to understand the look in his eyes. He smiled, looking magnanimous, but in his heart he was cursing wildly. What was he being arrogant for? This kid was very arrogant. He actually wanted to punch him earlier. Fortunately, his reaction was fast. This kid was a little scary. He had broken through 7 levels. Even if he managed to take the punch, he would not feel good. He might have to take a few steps back. If someone saw this, it would be so embarrassing. Fortunately, he was quick-witted enough. This was not the only reason he came. He said, "Do you have anything else for MCMAU?" If not, make a trip to Sky Island. Are you going to fight? Zhang Tao looked at his excited look and felt a headache coming on. Fight? You're here again after the fight. Do you think we're made of iron? The few heavenly kings were tired too. Lin, Z, dragon transformation. And the others had been fighting nonstop these days. They were not like the new martial artists. They were not used to continuous high-intensity battles. These few days, they had not recovered yet. Fang Ping said that they would fight again. If this went on, these old seniors would be driven crazy sooner or later. It's not a fight. There's something else. All right, I'll go over later. Fang Ping nodded. Zhang Tao did not linger and left quickly. As soon as he left, Fang Ping chuckled. Old Zhang was not my opponent just now. Did everyone see that? I'll find time to beat him up later. This way, Instructor Tang, and the rest won't have to feel inferior. Tang Feng and the others smiled bitterly. What did he say? This was Fang Ping's old habit. He would surpass one, beat one up, and beat one up as revenge. He had already beaten up many people. Tang Feng had been beaten up by him once. Thinking about it now, it was like a dream. Someone sighed. It's a pity old Huang isn't here anymore. Otherwise, I'd be so happy. Fang Ping did not reply. Huang Jing's death had actually opened the curtains to many wars. The rapid development of the situation was related to Huang Jing's death. After Huang Jing's death, Fang Ping initiated the Magic City War. After that, the war kept escalating until today. It had only stopped for a few days. Now that Huang Jing was mentioned again, Fang Ping felt a little sad. The past seemed to be a long time ago, but in reality it was not that long. The first time he entered MCMAU, Huang Jing hosted the opening ceremony. The first time he entered the catacombs, Huang Jing secretly protected the students. The first time he raided a high-ranked monster's nest, it was Huang Jing, Qin Fengqing, and Fang Ping who did it together. Old Huang almost peed his pants because of the monster, but at that time he still fought to the death and asked Fang Ping and the others to leave first. Compared to the old vice-chancellor, Fang Ping was not familiar with him. He was familiar with old Huang later on. Fang Ping did not think about it anymore. He smiled. Everyone get ready. I just said that MCMAU doesn't have a peak. Now the opportunity is here. Take advantage of the time. On MCMAU's side, the rank 9 martial artists should work hard to take a step forward. Although I've never tried to help someone open up their path by force, I know that it's not a good feeling. The further you go, the better. Otherwise, it's like someone poking your nostrils forcefully. That feeling isn't just any ordinary feeling. Everyone could not help but laugh. This description made you sound like someone had poked your nostrils before. Seeing that he still had things to do, Tang Feng said, if you have something to do, go and settle your business first. Don't worry about MCMAU. We know what we're doing. Everyone is working hard to cultivate. We also want to see the peaks battlefield. Even if we can't do it today, we'll work hard. Just like what the minister said, we won't let you guys fight alone. We'll catch up and fight side by side with you. After Tang Feng said that, Fu Changding chuckled in the crowd. We're comrades. How can we let you guys be lonely and helpless? Don't worry. In a few days, we'll have a peak and 2 emperor level. Ha ha ha. Fang Ping laughed. You'd better get to rank 9 first. You're not even rank 9. How dare you say that? Having said that, Fang Ping looked at Qin Yunqi and Zhao Xuemei in the crowd. He smiled and said, Yunqi, Xuemei, both of you get ready this time. Among the younger generation, both of you can advance to the peak. Everyone burst out laughing. Zhao Lei chuckled. What about us? We're almost rank 9 too. Old classmate, don't favor girls over boys. Forget it. Fang Ping humphed and said, I know that Kid Chinjiashing has broken through to rank 9. You guys, you've embarrassed MCMAU. I haven't looked for you guys yet. You're not even as good as Fatty Jiang. What a disgrace! When he mentioned Chinjiashing, Everyone had no objections. Donglin's Chunjiaxing was the second Zhao Xuemei. His aptitude was slightly better than Zhao Xuemei's. It was not surprising that he had broken through to rank 9. However, when Jiang Chao was mentioned, everyone's faces darkened. They disdained to compete with this fatty. This damn fatty. Had he participated in the battle 5 times when he had reached rank 9? They did not want to compete with this damn fatty. Moreover, they could not say anything. If they did, the fatty would act pitiful. My ancestor was participating in the battle. My grandfather was participating in the battle. My big brother was participating in the battle. If I went, the Jiang family's bloodline would end. There was no priority. He, Jiang Chao, was in the back, teaching the young disciples of Startown. That was also contributing to humanity. All right, there was no way to say it. The young men and women of Startown felt ashamed. Now, they did not publicize the fact that Fatty Jiang had broken through to rank 9 at all. Fang Ping could not stop laughing. He did not say anything else. Leave Jiang Chao's matter to him. This fatty might not have it easy in the dark. Could he really sleep to rank 9? Qin Fengqing had been in contact with him before. These two fellows might have hooked up in secret. Perhaps this fatty also had his own plans. He did not say anything else. Old Zhang had something to discuss with him. Fang Ping had wanted to stay a little longer, but now he had no choice but to leave. Waving at everyone, Fang Ping tore the void apart and disappeared on the spot. As soon as he left in the crowd, the smiles on everyone's faces faded. In front of Fang Ping, everyone appeared carefree, full of smiles and full of confidence. However, when they thought that the emperor had appeared and participated in the battle, how could they not feel pressured when they were not even at the pinnacle? Smiling happily was just to make Fang Ping feel at ease. MCMAU was fine. MCMAU's instructors and students were supporting him and would be his backing. However, this backing was not strong enough. It was no longer the time when Fang Ping got into trouble and was being hunted down. It was not the time when MCMAU's grandmasters all came out to support him. At that time, when Fang Ping got into trouble, the first thing he thought of was his teachers and classmates. Today, he came to MCMAU just to see if any of his classmates and teachers needed help. Lu Fengru scolded. This kid never says that I'm his teacher outside. He's obviously looking down on me. He's afraid that if I say it, the King Human's teacher will be beaten to death tomorrow. If he's beaten to death, he'll embarrass him, won't he? After scolding for a while, Lu Fengru let out a humph. This time, I want to break through to the pinnacle. Li Changsheng, that old bastard. What right does he have to be his teacher? Everyone could not help but laugh, but they sighed in their hearts. There were some things that everyone understood. Fang Ping's teacher was not glory, but danger. Without the corresponding strength, he would not even know how he died. Old Man Li had encountered many crises, and they were all related to Fang Ping. It was also related to his identity. The outside world thought that he was Fang Ping's teacher. The reason why the Fengtian clan came out and challenged him was also related to him being Fang Ping's teacher. They had to face crisis after crisis. Fang Ping did not tell others about Lu Fengru because he wanted to protect her. Lu Fengru, on the other hand, probably did not want this kind of protection. She also wanted to be able to support the sky on her own, but it was obvious that the current her was powerless. She could only say a few words, but she had no choice but to shut up, lest she cause trouble for Fang Ping and others. Everyone in MCMAU felt a little down. Today, Fang Ping did not need MCMAU to support him anymore. However, when they thought of the day when Fang Ping faced the emperor, he could only rely on his words to convince the powerhouses from all over to fight alongside him. Everyone still felt bad about it. If MCMAU had powerhouses, there would be no need to compromise. That day, humans clearly had the upper hand, but in the end they had no choice but to compromise. It seemed crazy, But in the end, they still left some leeway and did not kill all the powerhouses in the catacombs who were below the Heavenly King level. Chun Yunqi looked at the direction where Fang Ping left in silence. Fang Ping was walking further and further away. As for Fang Ping, he was also getting lonelier. Now, there was still Zhang Tao and the suppressing Heavenly King fighting alongside him. However, when the day of the Emperor's appearance came, how many people could fight alongside Fang Ping? Maybe none. On that day, maybe only Fang Ping would go out to battle alone and embark on the path of the Emperor. I won't give up, Chun Yunqi muttered in her heart. Could she reach the peak? Although it was still far away, the Great War had not come yet. Maybe there was still a chance. There was still a chance to stand by his side on that day, advancing and retreating together with him. P.S. There are only 2 chapters today. Take a break. These 2 days I've been restless. I haven't fully considered the new plot yet. Adjust it as soon as possible and start a new journey. Chapter 1266. Sky Island. When Fang Ping arrived, only 2 people were there. Zhang Tao, Dragon Transformation. Seeing Heavenly Emperor Dragon Transformation's appearance, Fang Ping instantly had a bad premonition. This matter was probably related to Heavenly Emperor Dragon Transformation. As expected, upon seeing Fang Ping, Dragon Transformation said anxiously, "Something happened to Ruobing." What happened to her? Fang Ping saw his anxiety and comforted. It's okay. She even dared to kill emperors. What trouble can't she handle? Wang Ruobing had a problem. This point, Heavenly Emperor Dragon Transformation had told him before. Fang Ping did not care too much. Dragon Transformation had said before that Wang Ruobing might be related to the immortal source, and asked Fang Ping to take care of her. After Dragon Transformation successfully validated, Fang Ping did not care much. Now, he did not know what happened to Wang Ruobing. Dragon Transformation was a Heavenly King powerhouse, after all. Although he was anxious, he quickly calmed down. Zhang Tao interrupted. You know a little about Wang Ruobing. Previously, her vitality had been flowing away. Senior Dragon Transformation had no choice but to seal her. In the Emperor's tomb, Heavenly Emperor Zhan's heart power had already cured her. After that, there was no problem of vitality flowing away. But this time, Wang Ruobing's vitality is flowing away again, and it's very serious. Even if we consumed a lot of vitality, force, and vitality, we still can't stop the flow. It's extremely fast. If this goes on, Wang Ruobing will soon die of old age. Dragon Transformation became anxious again and said, sorrowfully, Ruobing finally got rid of her previous illness. I thought she would be fine. Who knew, Sai? Zhang Tao comforted, Senior, don't worry. We will think of a way. Dragon Transformation and humans started working together because of Wang Ruobing. Otherwise, this situation might not have happened today. Now that Wang Ruobing was in trouble, Zhang Tao had to think of a way to solve it. Wang Ruobing was very important. Once she died. To put it bluntly, Dragon Transformation's Heavenly Emperor had no desires. Why should he help humans fight to the death? He was not a human. Dragon Transformation quieted down again. Fang Ping sat down and looked at old Zhang, asking about the situation with his eyes. Zhang Tao said, Wang Ruobing's vitality has been flowing away for some time. Strictly speaking, she had a problem when she fought with emperors last time. It was not obvious at first, but it became more and more obvious these few days. Helpless, we were unable to stop her and could only seal her. Long Bien interjected once more. Sealing her would have been able to stop the loss of her life force in the past. Even if it couldn't be stopped completely, it could at least slow down the loss of her life force. But this time, Dragon Form said sorrowfully, although Ruobing's vitality is depleting slower now, if this goes on, even if the humans have the support of a large number of treasures, it will be difficult for Ruobing to hold on for a month. Fang Ping, you have many methods, many tricks. Save Ruobing. The Dragon Transformation Celestial Emperor was on the verge of praying. Fang Ping was also a little upset. He was a Heavenly King stage powerhouse, and Wang Ruobing was not his descendant. However, after living together for more than 10,000 years, Long Bien had truly treated Wang Ruobing as his own daughter. From the very beginning, when he first repaid his debt of gratitude to today, they had been together for 10,000 years. What did 10,000 years mean? It was a terrifyingly long time. It hadn't been easy for him to recover, but now his life force was slipping away again. Draconic transformation was even sadder than before. Fang Ping was not in a hurry to reply. Instead, he said, "This change only happened after the battle with the monarch? Is it related to the celestial origin, or the gate of the great Tao? Or is the sovereign doing something in secret?" "I'm not too sure about this," Zhang Tao shook his head. "I've also probed her Sanjiao gate previously. It's fake. I can't penetrate her origin, and I can't probe anything either. The rejection is very strong." Long Bien said immediately. Back then, Ruobing's origin could still be probed. But now, even I can't enter her origin to investigate. I'm afraid that if I forcefully enter Ruobing's origin, it will cause her origin to collapse. I have no other way now. "Fang Ping, you have to help me," Fang Ping said. "Senior, don't worry. Fang Ping will definitely do his best. Senior, you've helped humans so much. No matter what, I won't watch Ruobing die. Come, let's go take a look at Ruobing's situation first. Then we'll make a decision." Zhang Tao and Long Bien nodded hurriedly. Wang Ruobing was currently not on Sky Island, but in Long Bien's sky sealed. As they walked, Fang Ping asked, "Have you asked the Heavenly King Garrison?" Zhang Tao said, "Have. He's strong, but he can't enter her origin now. He can't enter her origin, and judging from her appearance, he can't find the reason for her life force slipping away either. Let's go take a look first." As Fang Ping said that, he suddenly shattered the void. In the next moment, Fang Ping appeared with a big fat cat in his hand. The fat cat was still in a daze, its eyes half open, a little dazed. Why did he catch the cat again? Fang Ping smiled. "Bring it along. If there's any trouble, we can let it try." As soon as the cat appeared, old Zhang could not help but laugh. "I've wanted to try it for a long time, but this fellow doesn't listen to me." The cat could roam the origin. Looking for the cat was the most suitable choice. Unfortunately, this cat was not obedient. It was sleeping. If anyone disturbed it, it would throw a tantrum, and there was nothing they could do. Seeing the cat, Long Bien seemed to be relieved. He was still very familiar with this cat. In the past, this cat had snatched him away more than once or twice. It would be strange if he was not familiar with it. The cat could roam the origin. Perhaps it could find some problems. The cat was still in a daze. It mumbled, "What now?" It was not easy to get a break, and the liar caught the cat for work again. How heartless. Fang Ping carried the big cat and smiled. "Just follow me. There's good food." "Liar," the cat mumbled. "I don't believe you." It did not ask again. The cat continued to sleep. Recently, its cat world seemed to be reaching its peak. When the cat world reached its peak, it could become a powerful cat. As for what was the use of becoming a powerful cat, the cat was too lazy to think about it. Anyway, it would be powerful if it could be strong. If not, it would continue to sleep. There was not much difference. The entrance to Dragon Transformation Sky was currently on Earth. Dragon Transformation Sky cooperated with the humans. Long Bien was still reluctant to give up its nest. There was no need to give it up either. It simply moved Dragon Transformation Sky and opened the entrance to Magic City. It was not far from Heavenly Island. Very soon, the group arrived at a void in the sea. Long Bien tore space apart directly, revealing a pitch-black passageway. This was the passageway to Dragon Transformation Sky. As soon as the passageway was torn apart, a person came out. Upon seeing them, he hurriedly bowed and said, "Master!" "Greetings, Martial King, King Human." This was true God Shengjun of Dragon Transformation Sky. He was also the only true God left in Dragon Transformation Sky. However, Fang Ping quickly remembered that Wang Hanyue had also broken through in Dragon Transformation Sky. Wang Hanyue was the rank 9 powerhouse who brought Wang Ruobing to the Emperor's tomb. These top-notch rank 9s who did not die that day were now almost all at the peak. Of course, thinking of Wang Hanyue, Fang Ping suddenly thought of someone. He opened his mouth and said, "Old Zhang, is Chang Shanqi of Chang Rongtian dead?" "You still remember?" Zhang Tao was helpless. "I'm going crazy from being locked up by you. Not only Chang Shanqi, there are still a few locked up in Heavenly Island Prison now. Shen San from the evil sect, Chang Shanqi of Chang Rongtian, and a few captured rank 9 catacombs martial artists, including the few rank 9s you captured during the battle in Magic City back then. Now that place is almost becoming purgatory. The only thing the rank 9s are shouting every day is, give them a chance to speak, at least come and ask them what they want to know. Subdue them or kill them, or what? At least give them an answer." Even old Zhang sympathized with them. Fang Ping had long forgotten about them. Fang Ping did not care. Once the others locked them up, he could not be bothered. In this way, these people were miserable. No one cared. Other than locking them up, no one went to that place after that. They could not escape even if they wanted to. Old Zhang had reinforced that place. These people could not break it unless they had peerless strength. Even if they had peerless strength, they probably could not break it. Now they were going crazy. Fang Ping said indifferently, "Then lock them up first." He could not be bothered. He did not know what was going on with Chang Rongtian now. It had been a long time. Maybe the place was empty now. Fang Ping was not too anxious. In front, Sheng Jun waited for the two to finish talking before saying softly, "Master, these 2 days, Junior's sister seems to be losing more vitality. I went to the Ice Palace to take a look. Even if Junior's sister is sealed, her vitality is still weakening." Long Bian's expression changed slightly. He did not say anything, hurriedly walking toward the interior of dragon-changing sky. Fang Ping and Zhang Tao followed him in. Verdant hills and clear waters, a paradise. Hundreds of flowers were blooming. The sky was clear and the air was clear. This was dragon-changing sky. Many beyond heavens were places that looked bitter and cold. After all, cultivation was the main focus. However, dragon-changing sky was not like that. Dragon-changing sky's emperor wanted peace and quiet. He wanted to build his own paradise and ignore everything in the outside world. As one of the 4 Brahmas, dragon-changing sky was much bigger than places like Blacklight Heaven. It gave Fang Ping the feeling that it was at least the size of a small county. This was not considered small for Beyond Heavens. This place was also extremely rich in energy. However, at this moment, no one was in the mood to look at it. As soon as Fang Ping entered, Wang Hanyue rushed over and said hurriedly, "Master, Junior sister's condition seems to have worsened. I was just about to look for you." Long Bian's face was gloomy. He quickly walked toward a courtyard below. It was not a luxurious palace. It was just a house that looked ordinary. Fang Ping and old Zhang followed. In the courtyard, there was a swing and a lot of plants. However, at this moment, these plants were all withering. As soon as Fang Ping entered the courtyard, he felt that something was wrong. The entire courtyard had a sign of vitality draining, including himself. As soon as he entered this area, it was as if a black hole was absorbing his vitality. Fang Ping's golden body shook, and the suction force disappeared. At this moment, Fang Ping's expression turned solemn. With his strength, he could actually feel the suction force. What about Wang Ruobing? The group entered the courtyard quickly. It was different from the outside. As soon as he entered, Fang Ping felt a chill. Yes, it was not the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers outside. When Sheng Jun mentioned the Ice Palace earlier, Fang Ping did not think much of it. At this moment, he really felt that he had entered an ice mountain. This was a world of ice and snow. Shrouded in cold ice, everything was made of ice sculptures. It was not an ordinary ice sculpture. Inside the house, all the buildings and decorations exuded a bone-piercing chill. Even Fong Ping could feel it. After all, he was a powerhouse who was about to achieve jade bones. At this moment, Fong Ping saw Wang Ruobing. In front, in an ice coffin, a person was lying. Perhaps it was not an ice coffin. Long Bien would not make a coffin for Wang Ruobing. However, in order to completely seal Wang Ruobing, the transparent bed was sealed everywhere. It was no different from an ice coffin. The person lying inside was Wang Ruobing, skinny pale. Her hair was turning white. Compared to the Wang Ruobing he saw a few days ago, she was like a completely different person. That day in the Emperor's tomb, although Wang Ruobing was weak, she was definitely not as withered as she was now. After that, Wang Ruobing absorbed some of the heavenly Emperor Zhan's heart's energy and recovered. She even started to forge a golden body instead of continuing to maintain rank 7. However, now the forged golden body seemed to be starting to collapse. Binger! Long Bien hurried forward. Through the crystal cover, he looked at Wang Ruobing inside, his expression ugly. At a speed that was almost visible to the naked eye, Wang Ruobing's vitality was depleting. She became older and older. Her white hair had already spread to the roots of her hair. Fong Ping, Long Bien, transferred vitality into the ice coffin while looking back at Fong Ping, full of pleading expression. Fong Ping took a step forward, took a look, and said, "Don't be impatient." Having said that, a large amount of vitality emerged from Fong Ping's hand. It was the vitality force behind the Sanjiao Gate. The vitality that was infused was absorbed frantically, at a speed visible to the naked eye. Wang Ruobing once again returned to her previous appearance. However, very soon it started again. It was absorbed again. Fong Ping frowned, saying in a low voice, "There's a force that's absorbing the vitality and vitality force that we're infusing." Zhang Tao also walked over, took a look at the sealed Wang Ruobing, thought for a moment, and said, "It's absorbing even we can't stop it. It's not through the passageway of the outside world. Otherwise, with the few of us here, even a sovereign can forget about doing it. The loss of her vitality is probably related to the origin. We can't stop it if it's flowing through the origin. Fong Ping, you can simulate her aura. You can try, simulate her aura, and enter her origin to take a look. It's very difficult. The origin is not the same person. There's still some repulsion. I'm afraid that if I break her origin," as Fong Ping said that, his gaze flickered, "he could still break into the origin. However, even if Wang Ruobing was previously, she was only a rank 8. Did she really have the embryonic form of the origin? It was hard to say. Rank 7 and 8 martial artists did not have an origin world. They had only just walked the path of the origin. Only when they reached rank 9 could they establish their own origin world. I'll give it a try." Fong Ping's system could break into the origin world. The key was Fong Ping was now afraid that Wang Ruobing did not have it, and he was also afraid that he was too powerful. If the other party had it, she would be very weak. If his origin entered, it might cause Wang Ruobing's origin to collapse. He thought of this problem, and so did Long Yuan. He said immediately, "No. If you force a breakthrough, if Ruobing's origin is weak, it will easily explode." Back then, Ruobing's repulsion was not so serious. I tried once. There was an embryonic form of the origin, but it was very weak. Maybe it's still the same now. Fong Ping. At this point, Long Yuan suddenly looked at the cat. "Brother Cat." Dragon Change bowed and said with an expectant look, "Brother Cat, you can roam the source and see if you can find Ruobing's source. You can go from the outside to the inside. Maybe you can take a look and see if there is any problem." The cat turned its head to look at Fong Ping. Fong Ping nodded and said, "Big Cat, try it. Can you find Wang Ruobing's origin world in the origin universe? According to my understanding, after reaching rank 6, almost all of them will build origin stars in the origin universe. Even if it's weak, there should be some. But it's very difficult to find. If it was too weak, the cat might not be able to sense it. The origin universe was too vast. The stronger ones, such as people like old Zhang, could still be found by the cat through their aura. How could it be so easy to find the weaker ones? The cat looked at Wang Ruobing, thinking for a while before saying, "Then I'll try to find it. I might not be able to find it. This young lady, I think I've seen her before." The cat had some impression of her. Suddenly it said, Oh, I think I've seen her before." Big Dog said that I and Big Dog even sneaked a peek at her together. Long Yuan was stunned for a moment. His expression changed slightly. "Heavenly Dog, yes, years ago, I brought Ruobing to Emperor Dong's palace for help." Heavenly Dog suddenly stopped Ruobing outside Emperor Dong's palace. After that, it was chased away by Celestial Emperor Batian. In the past, he did not pay much attention to it. Heavenly Dog was just like that, good at bullying people. However, now that the cat suddenly mentioned it, he suddenly came to a realization. Heavenly Dog had broken 7 at that time. Yes, it had broken 7. At that time, what was Wang Ruobing's strength? Rank 5 or 6. A powerhouse who had broken 7 suddenly stared at Wang Ruobing, looking like he wanted to snatch a lollipop. Was this really just an accident? Celestial Emperor Batian chased Heavenly Dog away because he thought it would hurt her? However, no matter how shameless Heavenly Dog was, under normal circumstances, it would not make life difficult for a child. Powerhouses all had their own pride. Wang Ruobing could destroy it with a puff of her breath. Why would Heavenly Dog care about her? After that, Heavenly Dog took revenge on Celestial Emperor Batian. Obviously, Heavenly Dog was very unhappy when it was chased away that day. As for Celestial Emperor Batian, he probably did not simply show his face to chase away Heavenly Dog. Perhaps he had also intimidated Heavenly Dog. At this time, everyone could not help but think of this. If the cat knew about this, it meant that things were not that simple. The cat did not remember many things. It had forgotten many things from the ancient times. However, at this moment, it actually remembered Wang Ruobing. Fong Ping hurriedly looked at the cat. "Why did you and Heavenly Dog sneak a peek at her?" The cat racked its brains, scratching its head with its claws. It seemed fragrant. Big Dog wanted to eat it. Dragon Change's expression changed, growling. "How dare it!" The cat shook its head. "There's nothing left to eat." Big Dog didn't want to eat it after that. However, it was bullied, so it went to take revenge. What's going on with Wang Ruobing? Why does Heavenly Dog want to eat her? She smells so good. Fong Ping was speechless. He did not delay any further and said quickly, "You roam the origin first and look for her. If it really doesn't work, I can only break into the origin to take a look. If this goes on, no matter how much vitality there is, it won't be enough to consume." The cat nodded. Soon it closed its eyes, entered the origin, and began to roam the origin. After the cat left, they looked at each other. Dragon Change was still anxious, but he did not completely lose his composure. He said in a low voice, "Heavenly Dog actually wants to eat Ruobing. This means that Ruobing is more important than I thought. Heavenly Dog and the cat would not fall unless it was a treasure. Back then, I thought it was just a coincidence. Who knew there would be other secrets, Fong Ping?" This time the Emperor appeared, the immortal origin dripped blood. The vitality gate was broken. Ruobing's sudden relapse must be related to one or more of these things. As he said that, he continued, "That day I told you that my breakthrough to the Saint Realm had a lot to do with Ruobing. You didn't ask, so I didn't say. A few years ago, I actually tried to pry into Ruobing's origin to find the secret of the loss of vitality, but that time I only saw an extremely weak origin." But Dragon Change paused and said, "That time I actually saw something else." His expression was solemn. "I saw the path. Yes, a blurry great path. I only caught a glimpse, but it was as if I saw the end of my great path and the direction of my great path. That time I saw the direction of the Saint's great path, so I broke through to the Saint Realm very quickly. Until now, I still remember maybe that time. I also saw the direction of the Heavenly King's path. That was why during the battle with Ping Yang, I broke through to the Heavenly King realm without much difficulty. I clearly determined where the Great Path was. Ruobing is related to the Great Path. Fang Ping frowned and looked at Old Zhang. Old Zhang thought for a while and said, "Under normal circumstances, being able to see the direction of the Great Path will not happen. Unless what? Tell me." Fang Ping was speechless. Old Zhang smiled bitterly. "I don't know much about the Great Path, but after coming into contact with the Emperor's path, I did sense something. The path has an end. In the Source universe, it is actually connected to many great paths. The Source stars are the starting point of the Great Path, and the Great Path extends toward the end of the darkness. It's very difficult for us to see ahead, but if there's a long Great Path in front of us right now, extending to the end, at this time you might also be able to see the direction of your own Great Path. What you see is actually not your own Great Path, but the end of the Great Path. You have a starting point and an end point. Then you can imagine a great path. How should you walk your own great path?" Fang Ping understood. At this moment, he could not help but frown. He looked at Wang Ruobing again. What was the relationship between Wang Ruobing and the immortal source, or the door to the great path? Could the old cat find her origin? Obviously, the old cat failed. After about half an hour, the old cat opened his eyes, panting violently. He was so tired that he stuck out his tongue. With an innocent look, he said, "I can't find her. I searched for a long time, but I couldn't sense the aura of her origin." Long Huan suddenly looked dejected. Seeing this, Fang Ping said, "Then now we can only try to force a breakthrough and see what the problem is." As Fang Ping said that, he added, "But it's very dangerous. Senior, do you want to try?" Long Huan turned around and glanced at Wang Ruobing, who had her eyes closed. Then he looked at her frowning and pained expression. He gritted his teeth. "You can try. You can break into other people's origin. You're better at it than us. Ruobing's current state is worse than death. If she really dies, maybe she will be freed." After saying this, Long Huan suddenly felt a little weak. 10,000 years. In 10,000 years, the time that Wang Ruobing was awake was very, very short. It was too painful. Instead of going on like this, why not Long Huan suppress the pain in his heart and said in a low voice, "Let's try." Even Heavenly King suppression couldn't do it. If you can't do it too, I have to look for the Emperor for help. But I've already looked for him in the past. No one was willing to help me. Back then, the Emperor God was still in the three realms and did not appear. Looking for him might be useless. Fang Ping nodded. He was also curious about what had happened to Wang Ruobing. Although it was dangerous, it did not mean that there was no chance. Chapter 1267. Old Zhang, protect her body. Fang Ping made the arrangements. He was afraid that his origin would be too strong and cause Wang Ruobing to explode. The two heavenly kings dared not delay. Dragon Morph opened the ice coffin and worked together with Zhang Tao to strengthen Wang Ruobing's body. Fang Ping was ready to try breaking into the origin. Fang Ping was not a hesitant person. Since Dragon Morph had no objections, he immediately broke in. However, this time, something unexpected happened. He did not break through successfully. At this moment, Fang Ping's gaze flickered slightly. He realized that his wealth was depleting at a crazy rate. After all, he had tried breaking through to Saint's origins and Heavenly King's origins. Spending a few 100 million wealth points at once was considered a lot. But now his wealth was dropping in the hundreds of millions. It was depleting too quickly. Fang Ping did not fail. This time he did not succeed in the blink of an eye. At this moment, the cat was also looking at Fang Ping. In the past, Fang Ping broke through the origin too quickly. It could not sense anything, but this time the cat's big eyes revealed some doubt. At this moment, the cat suddenly said, "Liar, you're opening a passageway to the origin world." Fang Ping actually sensed it now, too. He was similar to the Emperor from before. He opened a passageway in the origin universe directly to Wang Ruobing's origin world. In the past, the speed was too fast. He did not sense it. This time, the speed was very slow. Fang Ping sensed that in front of him, a void passageway seemed to have appeared. It seemed to be connected to another world, the origin world. Fang Ping's gaze moved, and he quickly entered his origin world. At this moment, Fang Ping finally knew how he broke into other people's origins in the past. In the sky of his origin world, a passageway was being opened, leading to an infinite dark area. The passageway was running through this universe. In the past, Fang Ping could break through directly when he was close to others. This was because the origin stars were moving. When people were together, the origin stars would not be too far away. Presumably, it was so fast in the past because the time needed to build this passageway was very short. But this time it was different. Fang Ping seemed to feel the scene of killing Life King in the past. That time, he also entered Life King's origin through the divine weapon stone tablet instead of directly getting close to Life King. That time, the stone monument had built a passageway in the universe, allowing Fang Ping to enter the Life King's origin smoothly and ambush him. This time it seemed to be the same. Even though Wang Ruobing was right in front of him, Fang Ping realized that the passageway built this time was extremely long. It was terrifyingly long. His wealth was being consumed at a crazy rate to maintain this passageway. Previously, when he broke into the origin, he had used up a lot of wealth to build a passageway. This time it was the same, but the consumption was increasing, so much so that Fang Ping's face was turning green. Where was Wang Ruobing's essence? If the distance was very far, he might not be able to break through. If the distance was very close, but right now this passageway was quickly being constructed, and it was being constructed for an extremely long time. What was the reason for this? Big cat, enter my source. At that moment, Fang Ping was suddenly worried. He was afraid that he would not be able to handle it alone. The ash cat could roam the origin, so it might be of some use. The cat was confused, but it understood what Fang Ping meant. Very soon, a cat appeared in Fang Ping's source world. Fang Ping opened up his origin to it. This fellow's mentality was extremely strong, so naturally it could enter. Within the source world, in the sky, the passageway was still being constructed. The ash cat stared at the sky. As it stared, it started to doze off, wanting to sleep. Fang Ping almost smacked this cat to death. Can't you wake up for a while? At that moment, the 4 plump babies flew out too. They seemed to be much smarter than before. Perhaps they had been smacked a few times by the ash cat, so they remembered. The plump babies only flew around it now, not approaching it. The ash cat opened its eyes, squinting into slits. The last time it tried to steal a baby, Fang Ping sent it flying with a kick. This time, Fang Ping was staring at the passageway. He did not seem to notice this side. The ash cat stretched its paw forward, waving it a few times. Seeing that Fang Ping did not seem to be paying attention, the ash cat suddenly stretched out its paw. At an extremely fast speed, it caught a plump baby in the palm of its hand. At that moment, the ash cat's huge face broke into a smile. This cat could bring it back. Bring it to the cat world. Just as it was laughing, Fang Ping knocked its huge head, speechless. Put it down. I still need these little fellows here to stabilize the world. Don't make trouble. The ash cat looked innocent. It threw the plump baby away, pitifully, and it flew away again. Fang Ping did not know whether to laugh or cry. He looked at the passageway in the sky, which was still forming. He could not help but ask, where does this lead to? It was too far before. Either I couldn't break through or I couldn't sense it. But now I can sense it. I can break through, but why is it so far away? The ash cat did not know either. It shook its head. It had never seen such a situation before. Fang Ping exhaled. Should we enter the passageway now? I'm afraid that the passageway will suddenly break. If we can't return, we'll be in big trouble. The ash cat said nonchalantly, This cat can fly. Fong Ping was mentally exhausted. You can, but I can't. Once his body of origin was too far away from the source world, it was easy for it to collapse. He did not know if it was because his source world lacked some soil of origin that it was not stable enough, or maybe his brain nucleus had not completely integrated into the source world, causing the connection between his body of origin and the source world to not be close enough. Fong Ping was a little hesitant. It was still very dangerous for him to travel far in the source universe. However, with the ash cat here, he had some confidence. Fong Ping thought about it and said quickly, "Go in. Once the passageway collapses, I won't be able to return. Remember to bring me back, and it must be fast." The ash cat nodded its big head, indicating that there was no problem. Fong Ping suddenly said, "You won't get lost, right?" The ash cat looked at him disdainfully. "You're the one who's lost. This cat has traversed the source. When have I ever lost my way? Then let's go." Fong Ping saw its expression and thought about it. This cat had walked in the source more than once or twice. The probability of it getting lost was not high. As long as his source was not completely destroyed, he could return to his source world. At most, he could spend more origin energy to repair it. Fong Ping did not say much. He quickly broke through the air and stepped into the passageway. The ash cat followed closely behind. One man and one cat, they walked along the crystal-like passageway toward the end quickly. It was very, very far, so far that Fong Ping could not see where the end was at all. He only knew that he had suffered a great loss this time. His wealth was almost at 3 billion now, and it was still decreasing. This kind of situation had never happened before. Where was Wang Ruobing's source? The outside world. Old Zhang and Heavenly Emperor, Dragon Transformation, were consolidating Wang Ruobing's flesh. At this moment, Wang Ruobing's body suddenly trembled violently. "Stabilize!" With a clear shout, old Zhang's origin energy erupted, suppressing the slightly rioting origin energy. He said strangely, Ruobing was only rank 8 previously, just now it was an anomaly in the source. Did you notice? Dragon Transformation answered in a muffled voice, saying in a low voice, "I felt it." She's a rank 8 martial artist. Even if she really has a source, it's extremely weak. That anomaly just now was not weak. Uh-huh. Old Zhang thought for a while and said, "What do you think about Ruobing's situation?" "I don't know." Dragon Transformation replied in a muffled voice. Zhang Tao sighed. After a while, he said, "I have some thoughts." Senior Dragon Transformation. If that's the case, Ruobing will be in danger. This danger was not just limited to Wang Ruobing, but also them. Dragon Transformation did not say anything. Seeing this, Zhang Tao did not say anything either. He sighed. "I hope Fong Ping won't act recklessly." Both of them fell into silence. Fong Ping was sometimes very impulsive. They did not know how he would deal with the anomaly this time. In the passageway, Fong Ping kept walking forward. He kept walking forward, and walked for a long time. It gave him the feeling that it had been a long time. At this moment, the passageway was still there, connecting to his source world. Fong Ping did not feel that his source body was about to collapse. Behind him, even the cat was getting impatient. It said strangely, "It's so far. Where are we now?" The source universe was huge, but this passageway should be similar to a space passageway. Logically, no matter how far it was, it could still be connected. How long had he been walking? This time, Fong Ping grimaced. The consumption was frighteningly high. Nearly 5 billion wealth points had been spent. He had never encountered such a strange thing. At this moment, the man and the cat's eyes lit up. In front of them, a ray of light appeared. It seemed like they had reached the end of the passageway. Was Wang Ruobing's source world just in front of them? Fong Ping smiled bitterly as he walked. "It's only now. If I encounter such a weirdo during a battle, I'll be dumbfounded." Breaking into the enemy's source during a battle was something that happened in an instant. If he was like this during a battle, spending so much time connecting to someone else's source, his golden body, would probably have been destroyed long ago. The enemy was not a dead person. Big Cat, what do you think Wang Ruobing's source is like? The cat did not quite understand what he meant. It misunderstood him and asked curiously, like dried fish. Fang Ping wanted to smack it to death. All it knew was to eat. Its source was only like dried fish. He could not be bothered to ask the cat anymore. Fang Ping's gaze turned solemn. He said telepathically, "If we encounter any danger later, bring me away immediately." He could not take the risk here. If his source crumbled here, even if he did not die, he would be severely injured this time. Right now, he did not have that much time to heal. Seeing how solemn he was, the cat nodded hurriedly. After some thought, its body shrunk a little and landed on Fang Ping's shoulder with a thud. Fang Ping's steps faltered. He was almost crushed. Even the source body is so heavy, Fang Ping was speechless. He patted the cat's head. How did this cat grow? Even its source body was so heavy. No wonder it could not crumble in the source universe. It was almost turning into a physical body. They continued walking for a while. The light ahead became brighter and brighter. The next moment, Fang Ping and the cat stepped into a small world. This Fang Ping was stunned. Yes, he was stunned. The moment he stepped into the end of the passageway, he was stunned. What was this place? Wang Ruobing's source world? What was this? He had seen many people's source worlds. They were generally the same, like a ball. The only difference was the size. It was the same for him and the old cat. The moment he stepped into the end of the passageway, what came into view was not the source world that he had imagined. Instead, it was the hive. Yes, the hive. Right now, Fang Ping had passed through an opening in the hive, built a passageway, and walked into the interior of the hive. This incomparably huge source world was like a beehive. There were holes everywhere. At this moment, these holes were all dark. He did not know where they led to. This is Wang Ruobing's source world. Fang Ping was stunned. Was it really? Was this still the source world? And source world with countless openings. And it did not seem like a great path. If a great path had countless openings, it would mean that countless great paths had been taken. However, this was not the case. At least, Fang Ping did not sense any fluctuation of origin qi or amplification of the source. This was like a dead and silent world. Wind was leaking in all directions. This place was huge. Dragonform said that he had investigated it before. Wang Ruobing's source world could not be found. After all, Wang Ruobing was very weak. However, now it seemed that if this world was really Wang Ruobing's world, this source world was not small. Is it or not? Fang Ping was not sure. He did not know how he had connected to this place. Soon, Fang Ping's gaze moved slightly. Maybe it was. The moment he stepped into this world, he suddenly felt that the pitch-black passageways around him seemed to be absorbing something. There was a suction force. In the source world, there should be source bodies. Even if they are weak, even if they have no consciousness, they should still exist. Fang Ping looked around, but did not see Wang Ruobing. Fang Ping frowned slightly. He had completely stepped into this dead and silent world. It was silent. It seemed to be completely silent. What does this mean? An ordinary person's source world, even if it was dark, still had some vitality. After all, origin energy was born here. However, this was not the case. This was a dead world. There was nothing. It was cold. Even if the source world was huge, it did not seem to exist. Dead, lifeless, lacking vitality. At this moment, Fang Ping seemed to have sensed something. He walked forward quickly. Soon, Fang Ping walked to the edge of the world. He saw those black holes. With this look, Fang Ping's expression changed slightly. He turned his head to look the cat and said in a low voice, "Big Cat, sense it. What is this?" At this moment, there seemed to be some blood-colored membrane on these black holes. However, some were already broken. The cat sniffed with its nose. Fong Ping really wanted to tell it that it was not a dog and did not need to sniff. The cat did not care about this. After sniffing for a while, it scratched its head and said curiously, "It seems a little familiar. Vitality Force." Fong Ping said coldly, "Heavenly Emperor Zhan's Vitality Force." I suddenly understood why I could help Wang Ruobing eliminate the hidden danger of her vitality draining. It was because these passageways were blocked. They were blocked by vitality force. Therefore, this world no longer has passageways to absorb her vitality. But now it seems to be broken. Not only was it broken, Fong Ping suddenly reached out and touched it. The passageway in front of him was actually like a solid object. He could touch it. Fong Ping looked at it, then looked at the black holes around him. He said with concentration, "The passageway was not so big initially. It's getting bigger now." Previously, vitality force sealed the small openings, but later on, these openings became bigger. The membrane formed by vitality force was not enough, so it broke. Fong Ping continued walking around. As expected, the next few passageways he saw confirmed his thoughts. Some of the openings had red vitality membranes on them, which just happened to be sealed. However, some were broken. The broken openings were bigger. This meant that these passageways were not so big before. Now that they were growing and becoming bigger, the vitality force could not seal them. Moreover, as the openings became bigger, the suction became stronger. This also caused Wang Ruobing's vitality to drain faster now. Fong Ping walked in front of a completely broken black passageway. At this moment, there was some suction coming from the passageway. It was not too strong, but Fong Ping could still feel that his origin was about to be sucked in, absorbing her vitality, expanding the size of the opening. Or is her vitality being absorbed because the opening is too big? Fong Ping did not know. He only knew that the existence of these openings led to Wang Ruobing's problem, a source world that was riddled with holes. Fong Ping looked toward the black passageway. This look. Fong Ping was slightly stunned. The cat poked its head out and looked toward the opening too. After taking a look, it said strangely, "Liar, in front of this passageway, there seems to be something?" Fong Ping took a look. His gaze was a little dazed, but he quickly came back to his senses. "It's not something, it's Tao. I see a path that leads to the end of the door. Do you see it, Tao?" "No, I see a fish-headed demon." Fong Ping was speechless. "You only know how to eat. This. I have some impression of this. Sherpo's origin realm has some functions like this, allowing people to see the end of their Tao. Of course, Sherpo's origin realm is very shallow. One look and you can tell it's fake. This. I feel like it's real." As Fong Ping said that, he stared at the black passageway and said in a low voice, "Is the end of this black passageway really the end of the Tao? Is it where the door is? If it is, then it means that right now there are 3 emperors guarding ahead." The cat poked its head out again and took a look. "I don't see it. So it feels fake, but it might not be fake." Fong Ping's gaze moved slightly. Suddenly, he changed to another passageway and continued to look inside. This time, he seemed to see the Tao again. It was a Tao that was unknown how many tens of thousands of meters long. At the end of it, he saw a door. Fong Ping continued changing passageways and looking. Every time he saw the door. But soon, Fong Ping's gaze moved slightly. "No, I've carved words on the Vitality Gate. Unless the Vitality Gate doesn't appear here, otherwise, the door should be different." As Fong Ping said that, he frowned and said, "Then what is at the end of this passageway? A projection? A void gate like Broken 8? Or a trap?" Fong Ping frowned again and again. What the hell was this? Wang Ruobing was brought out by the God Emperor. What did the God Emperor set up on her body, including this dead, silent world? It looked a little like the Source world, but this might not be it. It could also be made by the God Emperor. At this moment, Fong Ping dared not enter these black passageways rashly. Moreover, there were many, many black passageways. He did not know which one to take. Also, this passageway did not seem too stable. There were many, many passageways in this beehive-like world. Fong Ping could not even count how many there were. The feeling he got at the end was where the door was. At this moment, many passageways had broken vitality film and were absorbing waves of energy. At this moment, the cat suddenly said, "We can go look for that little girl. This place is absorbing vitality. The core of the absorption should be her. She should have a projection here." Fong Ping looked around, but still did not see a shadow. At this moment, Fong Ping looked at these passageways. While searching, he said in a low voice, "Closing these passageways again should be able to stop her vitality from flowing away. But where do these passageways lead to? This world must have been created by someone. Is it the God Emperor or someone else? What kind of role does Wang Ruobing play in this?" Fong Ping said a few words and looked at the passageways again. His gaze was strange. At this moment, the cat thought for a while and suddenly said, "This place. Liar. Maybe someone wants to create a fake path." "What?" "A fake source convergent." "Fake," the cat muttered. "The more I look at it, the more I think it looks like our source world. Could it be that someone wants to congregate and then fake it, but they don't know how to congregate, so they created a fake path that doesn't look like it?" Fong Ping's gaze moved. Fake path. Congregate of Daos. It was the same as their source world. It was just that this fake person did not go through such a path. In the end, he created this kind of neither. Fong Ping suddenly said, "Did the God Emperor and the others enter your source world?" The cat scratched its head and said, "I don't think so. I don't know. I sleep every day. I don't know if they broke in. I don't think so. My source star is very, very small. It's the size of a grain of ash. They can't find it, right? Didn't you say that when the path was sealed back then, your path was not sealed?" "Yes," the cat said matter-of-factly. "If they can't find it, then it's not sealed, right?" "That can't be right. We, the latecomers, have all been sealed. Even if you can't find it, why won't you be sealed?" "That's true." The cat thought for a while and said, "Then if we take this path and walk to the end, we actually don't have to go through those paths that we have to take. We can just roll over. Roll over." Fong Ping was speechless. This adjective. What this cat meant was that when other people walked on the path, they had to go through those 3 nodes, which were where the 3 portals were. As for them, they did not need to do so. They could just go through them, tyrannically. He ignored it. "Fake," Fong Ping murmured. "Fake. Did these people like to fake things? This place might be a fake path forged by the Divine Emperor, a path where all paths converged into one. However, the Divine Emperor might not know how to go, so he created this hive. Of course, this was only a possibility. There was another possibility." Fong Ping said softly, "This place? Maybe the end of the black passageway is someone else's portal." The cat looked at him doubtfully. "The end of someone else's path." Fong Ping murmured, "I looked at it earlier. Every path seems to be the end of my path. Then, in the eyes of others, it might be the end of their path, like the dragon, transformation, heavenly emperor. In the past, he might have seen the end of one of the paths, so he saw his own path. In reality, that might really be the end of his path. This place might really be the place where all paths converge. Unfortunately, it's not one person, but countless people. The end of countless people's paths has been penetrated by someone here. Big Cat, do you think that one day if someone enters this place, can they enter those paths, walk to the end, and take away the path that belongs to those people?" Fong Ping could not even count how many black holes there were in this place. And this might be an extension of the path beyond the end of the path. After Fong Ping said that, he said again, "This black passageway has become bigger. Does it mean that the person who cultivates this path has become stronger? Or could it be that the vitality gate was destroyed, previously affecting something, and now they need to absorb vitality to repair it? Could this be the world behind the door?" Fong Ping murmured. This place was full of strangeness. He seemed to have come to an incredible place. Is it the Divine Emperor? There were only two people in the three realms who could create this place. First, the God Creation Envoy. Second, the Divine Emperor. They were all madmen who did research. But the God Creation Envoy should not be able to do this. If he could do it, he would not be a broken eight, but an emperor. However, the possibility of the Divine Emperor was very high. That guy was the first to become an emperor. Moreover, when Fong Ping hacked the Sanjiao Gate previously, the Divine Emperor was very anxious and almost descended directly. He was also the one who sent Wang Ruobing to the Dragon Transformation side. Why did he send her to the Dragon Transformation side? Was it because the Dragon Transformation was also a test subject? So the Divine Emperor thought that he would accept Wang Ruobing and take good care of her? Chapter 1268. Thoughts arose in Fong Ping's mind. At this moment, looking at the passageways again, Fong Ping's gaze became more and more peculiar. What would happen if these passageways were broken? What would happen if this desolate world was destroyed? Would the Divine Emperor descend? Perhaps. At this moment, Fong Ping suddenly thought of something and laughed. Big Cat, why don't you try entering the passageway and walking to the end to see what's there? The cat looked innocent, then suddenly closed its eyes and snored. Time to sleep. Not going. It felt dangerous. Not doing it. The liar did not want to do it. Even if he asked it to go, it would not do it. The cat was only used to play, not to explore the way. Seeing this, Fong Ping did not know whether to laugh or cry. Maybe there's something delicious at the end. Snore! The cat was snoring, not going anyway. Seeing its behavior, Fong Ping frowned slightly. Danger! The cat was not timid. It did not dare to go, perhaps because it sensed some danger. Then I'll try. Fong Ping suddenly stepped forward. The cat grabbed his shoulder with its claws and muttered, Let's forget it. Blocking these passageways should save people. That can only treat the symptoms, but not the root cause. Fong Ping said in a low voice, Either we block these passageways completely or we destroy them. Otherwise, even if they're closed now, they'll open again sooner or later. And today's situation will happen again. Liar. Let's go back. The cat was pitiful. Fong Ping frowned. What kind of danger do you sense? I don't know. The cat shook its head. But it feels so scary. Scary. Fong Ping did not believe it. I want to try. Big Cat, if there's danger, pull me back immediately. Having said that, Fong Ping was about to step into a completely sealed passageway. The cat suddenly jumped down, its tail hooked onto his leg, and said pitifully, Forget it! Fong Ping's gaze turned completely serious. The cat did not let him explore. What the hell was this passageway? The cat was also bold. It was not that timid. But now, Fong Ping's expression became more and more serious. The cat continued hooking onto his leg, not letting him enter. At the same time, Source Universe, in a dark place. At this moment, on a huge star, an old man was cultivating with his eyes closed. The old man suddenly opened his eyes. The gigantic figure had the universe revolving in his eyes. It was as though he could see through the universe and the world. In the next moment, a small star entered his eyes. It was a very small star, but it was somewhat different. Numerous holes could be seen on the surface of the planet, almost like a beehive. At this moment, the holes seemed to be connected to numerous threads that stretched out into the void with no end in sight. The old man frowned slightly, and suddenly his eyes shone brightly. At this moment, he seemed to have seen through something. One more. Tao, the old man murmured. Among the countless holes, there was one that caught his attention. The other voids were incomparably dark, but that one seemed to have some light in it. This is, the old man frowned slightly. Was this Tao newly born when he wasn't paying attention, or had the original Tao been completely opened up and matured? The light in the old man's eyes became even brighter. Right at this time, the elder frowned again. There was another hole, and there were some faint fluctuations. What was going on? The old man frowned and thought for a moment. Suddenly his palm extended outwards. It extended all the way until he could not see how far it went. In this desolate universe, no one was looking at him. No one was paying attention to any of this. The big hand continued to extend, sweeping toward that small star. At the same time, the cat said with a bitter face, "Liar, let's go. Let's go quickly. Seal these passageways, and that little girl will be fine." At this moment, Fong Ping was also slightly palpitating. Had he been discovered? Or was there other danger? Fong Ping suppressed the feelings in his heart, gritted his teeth, and said, "Enter the passageway and take a look. I want to see what this thing is. Liar. Big cat, go seal those passageways. Hurry." Fong Ping took out a large amount of vitality force. It was all absorbed behind the vitality gate previously. This vitality force was of high quality. It should be able to seal the passageway entrance. Fong Ping looked at the cat. "You go. Quickly seal those broken passageway barriers. Then I'll study it again." The cat was helpless. "Then don't go in. I think if you go in, you might not be able to come back." Fong Ping's gaze changed slightly and he nodded. The cat did not delay any further. Soon it ran to seal those passageways. Fong Ping, on the other hand, was now wandering in front of some passageways that had not been sealed yet. He looked at all the passageways. They were all the same, and there was a door at the end. Is it because I see it differently from the cat, or are they really all doors? Fong Ping fell into deep thought. At this time, the cat was also working quickly. The cat had never been faster than it was now. Its body was like a phantom, sealing the passageways one after another. It was still saying, "Liar, don't go in. I really think it's dangerous. We have to leave quickly." Fong Ping nodded, not saying a word. "Really, it's so dangerous." Fong Ping was too lazy to respond. Why was this cat so long-winded? The cat sealed those passageways again and again. At this time, Fong Ping suddenly frowned, turning his head to look at the passageway he came from. The passageway was trembling slightly. The cat noticed it too. "Liar!" The cat suddenly screamed. "This is trouble." Yes, trouble. The passageway was trembling as if it was about to collapse. At this time, the cat suddenly growled. Endless vitality force overflowed, directly sealing the passageways in all directions. Fong Ping also felt it at this moment. He said coldly, "Someone is stirring the source universe." Yes, he felt suffocated. Someone was stirring the source universe, as if they had discovered something wrong. At this moment, his passageway was stirred by someone, showing signs of collapse. Fong Ping suddenly gritted his teeth and stepped directly into a thick passageway that he had been staring at previously. A black passageway. It was not the one he came from. The cat screamed. Its tail grew rapidly, curling around Fong Ping's leg. At this moment, Fong Ping also stepped into it. At this moment, Fong Ping saw it. He saw something. At this moment, a hand appeared above the passageway. Fong Ping looked up. His expression changed slightly, and he quickly retreated. However, it was too late. The palm seemed to have sensed something, suddenly slapping toward the passageway Fong Ping had entered. The palm did not penetrate the passageway. However, the passageway trembled, and Fong Ping's source body overflowed rapidly. At this moment, the cat wrapped itself around Fong Ping and dragged him out. In the next moment, Fong Ping was pulled out, but at this moment, more than half of his body had already overflowed. "Liar!" the cat shouted. Unable to care much, it swept Fong Ping up and was about to enter the passageway they came from. However, at this moment, with a rumble, the passageway collapsed. Fong Ping was still conscious at this moment. Seeing this scene, his mouth overflowed with source energy, saying in a low voice, "Dig a hole! Dig through this world. Quick, go from below." The cat's sharp claws appeared. Without saying a word, it dug downwards at lightning speed. Thud! A series of sounds of metal colliding rang out. The cat was impatient, digging frantically. Very soon, Something like a membrane was dug out from below. Origin soil, the cat whispered. Fong Ping growled. Take some of it and continue digging. The cat did not dare to delay. It continued digging, taking away as much as it dug out. Immediately after, the membrane below seemed to be dug through, revealing a pitch-black starry sky. At this moment, there was a tremor above. There seemed to be a human voice. The cat's fat flesh trembled, but its movements were agile. At this moment, it did not make a single sound. Its tail curled around Fong Ping, who was still disintegrating, and it quickly fled outside. In the next moment, a man and a cat entered the source universe. Liar, don't disintegrate. The cat was a little worried. The passageway had shattered. Fong Ping had lost contact with his source world. At this moment, he had become a rootless duckweed. His source form was constantly overflowing. The cat did not know where this place was. It did not know how long it would take to fly back. It did not know if Fong Ping could hold on until it flew back. However, at this moment, there was no other way. The cat's figure flickered, piercing through the void and fleeing quickly. At the same time, outside the small star, the giant palm trembled slightly. The glowing hole that was seen earlier had now been destroyed and disappeared. At the same time, the other glowing hole also fell into silence at this moment. Someone's coming. A murmur was heard. Who's coming? The cat or someone else? The old voice was doubtful. The palm trembled slightly as if it wanted to break open the star and go in to take a look. However, when it saw the densely packed holes, the palm paused. After a moment, a chuckle was heard. The palm suddenly turned into a large net enveloping the star. Since you're here, don't leave. The palm sealed the star. Even if there was someone inside, they could not escape. This was the source universe. If the source could not escape, then they would definitely die. Even if it was that cat, even if it did not die, it would be trapped here. Is it the cat? The old voice was doubtful. What was the cat doing here? That cat did not like to meddle in other people's business. Was it? Or could it be someone else? There were not many people who had the ability to do so. This place was extremely secretive. Moreover, the periphery was full of danger. How could someone break in? In the void, the cat's movements were weak. It carried Fong Ping and fled quickly. As soon as they left, a loud rumble was heard. The cat looked back and bared its teeth. It was sealed. So dangerous. If the swindler did not tell it to dig a hole and run, it would not have thought of this. Then it would not be able to escape. At this moment, Fong Ping also looked back. His face was pale. Then he laughed softly. There's really someone observing in the dark. Is it that guy? Was it the Emperor God? Then, Fong Ping's expression turned cold. He saw something. This place was up to no good. This was not a good place. There was a huge problem here with Wang robbing. If he could go back, he must solve it. However, at this moment, Fong Ping suddenly looked ahead and murmured, "Big cat! I think I've gotten into trouble. I might not be able to go back." This time he had really gotten into trouble. This place was too far away from his source world, and the passageway was broken. At this moment, Fong Ping could only rely on the cat to fly back from the source universe. But would he make it in time? Not only that, this place was not simple. As expected, in the next moment, the cat's expression changed. In front, there was an incomparably huge gateway to the sky. Incomparably huge! The cat's expression changed. Without another word, it fled in the other direction. This was the gateway. They had reached the depths of the source world. Fong Ping laughed bitterly. As expected, this place is not ordinary. Fong Ping sighed. No wonder I could break in. It's because this place is really not far from me. The cat was not in the mood to listen to him. It continued to flee frantically. Soon, the cat's expression changed again. The cat's face was full of anxiety. In front, there was another gateway. Yes, the second gateway was unimaginably huge. The world behind the door. Fong Ping grew weaker. He laughed. This is the universe behind the door. The door is in our avenue. The world behind the door is actually very close to us. Maybe it's on the other side. Liar, stop talking. The cat panicked. Fong Ping laughed. Don't panic. I won't die so easily. I can still hold on for a while if I consume my origin. The problem is, I don't know how many gates there are. 3 gates, maybe we can still survive. But if there are 4 gates, Big Cat, we can't leave. Yes, if there were 4 gates, they could not leave. This place had been sealed. Or rather, this was a dead space at the doorway. If there were gates everywhere, they had nowhere to go. As for going up to the sky and down to the ground, no way. The gateway was incomparably tall. The cat tried to fly up and down, but he could not fly to the end. They were going to be trapped in the void here. Fong Ping. In the outside world, Zhang Tao's expression changed. At this moment, Fong Ping's golden body was collapsing. His origin was overflowing wildly. Something was wrong with Fong Ping's origin. Dragon form's expression changed too. At this time, Wang Ruobing's vitality had been drained away a lot. His daughter was getting better, but dragon form did not relax at all. Instead, it was extremely nervous. Something had happened to Fong Ping. Something had happened to Fong Ping to save Wang Ruobing. Dragon form could almost imagine the result. If Fong Ping really died here because of Wang Ruobing, what kind of reaction would the humans have? Even if Zhang Tao was present, even if Zhang Tao knew the cause and effect, if Fong Ping died because of saving Wang Ruobing, the humans would probably go crazy. In their hearts, 10,000 Wang Ruobings were not as important as Fong Ping. How could something happen to him because of saving Wang Ruobing? Not only Fong Ping. At this moment, the cat had not woken up either. Of course, the cat's flesh was stable. His origin did not overflow, so he was fine. However, the cat did not wake up. Maybe he was trapped. Zhang Tao panicked. What to do? What to do? When it came to origin, there was nothing he could do. Fong Ping's avenue collapsed. He did not even have the Emperor path. Fong Ping's figure was nowhere to be found. There was no way to find Fong Ping's origin. He could not save him even if he wanted to. Fong Ping, Zhang Tao was nervous. He quickly crushed a jade pendant and shouted, "Oldly, something happened to Fong Ping. Come quickly." As soon as he finished speaking, the void was torn apart. Even if this was dragon form, Heavenly King Subduer appeared here directly. As soon as he saw Fong Ping's origin overflowing, his expression changed slightly. He growled, "Nonsense. Did he go to Wang Ruobing's origin?" "Yes." Heavenly King Subduer frowned. "The cat went in too?" "Yes." "They're all trapped. If they were close, the cat would have brought him back. Now that Fong Ping's origin has collapsed, the distance is very far. The cat won't be able to return for a while, or he's trapped." Heavenly King Subduer was also frowning. This matter was difficult for him to deal with. What should we do? Zhang Tao was a little anxious. How should they deal with this? Heavenly King Subduer stared at Fong Ping for a while, then looked at Zhang Tao. His expression changed again and again. Something happened to the vitality gate previously. That's why Wang Ruobing's vitality was drained, Heavenly King Subduer murmured. As if he had thought of something, he quickly said, "Go find someone to help." "Who?" "None of us can do it. We only broke a fake door." The subduing Heavenly King seemed to have guessed where Fong Ping was. He said sternly, "Wang Jinyang. Go find Wang Jinyang." "Forget it. I'll go find him." "You stand guard here. Remember, keep an eye on Fong Ping and call him. Maybe he can point them in the right direction. I don't know where Wang Jinyang is. What's the point of him coming back?" "Yes." Heavenly King Suppressing couldn't be bothered to say more. That was the reincarnation of the extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor, an existence who had truly penetrated that Tao. Even if he hadn't completely penetrated it, he had still broken the gate of qi and blood. No, That door didn't exist back then, but he should have set foot on that path. Previously, he was walking in the opposite direction of the great path, and there was no problem. This meant that there might be a shortcut. If there was a problem with the Blood Chi Gate, then Wang Jinyang might be able to bring them back. The Heavenly King Zhen, Wang didn't dare to delay, and quickly tore open the void and disappeared. Tabu Si, the aura of Heavenly King subduing, erupted in the blink of an eye, shocking everyone. In the catacombs, Li Zhu and the others instantly tensed up. What now? Another war? Is he going crazy again? Previously, it was Fang Ping. Could it be that the Heavenly King suppression was going to go crazy this time? The subduing Heavenly King couldn't be bothered with them. His voice reverberated in all directions. Wang Jinyang, quickly reply to me if you hear this. Heavenly King subduing advanced with unimaginable speed. The void was torn apart by him, and in the blink of an eye he was hundreds of thousands of miles away. He called out again and again. In the blink of an eye, even Chu Wu's territory could hear his voice. It wasn't just Chu Wu. At this moment, almost all the experts of the three realms heard his call. They were very anxious, wondering why Heaven-subduing King was looking for Wang Jinyang. Wang Jinyang! Wang Jinyang! A series of calls rose from the sea. Sensing the aura of the Heavenly King subduing, no one dared to show their heads or step forward to question him. Heavenly King Jinwang's aura erupted and was incomparably powerful. At this moment, he seemed to be in a rage. If he were to be provoked at this time, something big might happen. In the depths of the sea, Wang Jinyang, whose body was now black and white, suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. He frowned and listened carefully. At this moment, a voice called out to him. Wang Jinyang's face paled. Heavenly Subduing King. What could make the Heavenly King Jin, Wang, so anxious? Did something happen? The human race had just won. Even though he was deep in the sea, he knew that the Emperor had appeared. Everyone in the three realms knew about it. No matter how far away they were, they could feel it. The human race has just won. Heaven-subduing King has broken through 2 gates. Thinking of this, Wang Jinyang suddenly realized that something might have happened to Fang Ping or Zhang Tao. Heaven-subduing King, I am here. Wang Jinyang roared. The blood-colored longbow erupted and a blood arrow shot out from him, breaking through the void like a signal flare. One arrow after another. At this moment, Heaven-subduing King was extremely far away from him. However, soon he felt the fluctuations and quickly tore through the void and rushed toward him. The Divine Church, mainland. King Kuan frowned slightly. This old man is suddenly so anxious to find someone. Did something happen to Fang Ping and the others? It can't be right. King Qian hesitated. Fang Ping and Zhang Tao are both about to break through 7 or have already broken through 7. I don't feel the aura of a battle. Could it be that someone plotted against them? It's hard to say. The emperors will not let this go. The human race is the first to bear the brunt this time. Maybe something really happened. King Kuan frowned. If that was the case, then the strength of the 9 emperors and 4 emperors was somewhat terrifying. The forces in the dark were very strong. Otherwise, how could they plot against the powerhouses of the human race? Is it Fang Ping or Zhang Tao? King Kuan frowned. If it was not one of them, Heaven-subduing King would not be so anxious. Even if it was Li Zhen, he would not be so anxious. Fang Ping and Zhang Tao were too important. Han Kuan, then don't worry about it. Get someone to find out the news. Do you want to be the punching bag of the human race now? King Kuan shook his head. At this juncture, he should not have any other thoughts. Otherwise, he would easily get into big trouble. After saying that, he added, if something really happened to them, then be careful. We will be in trouble too. Very dangerous. Heaven-subduing King and the others were guarding the human race, but they still let the powerhouses of the human race be plotted against. Sigh. King Kuan sighed. If that was the case, it would be terrifying. This meant that the emperor's forces were recovering, and they were stronger than what they saw now. It was not only King Kuin who thought so. At this time, everyone was thinking the same thing. Some were worried, some sighed, and some muttered to themselves. The emperors were really invincible and should not be provoked. This time, if something happened to the powerhouses of the human race, it was most likely done by the emperors. Otherwise, who would dare to provoke the powerhouses of the human race now? The emperors were hidden very deeply. Everyone was discussing and feeling uneasy. There was some turbulence in the three realms. In the West Emperor Dojo, Heaven's Fate also heard the voice and muttered, "As long as it is not my father who did it," he was a little worried that he would be implicated. Once it was his father, if the human race could not kill the emperors, could they not kill him? Look at how powerful heaven-subduing King's aura was. This old guy was not hiding now. He had broken through 2 gates and was terrifyingly powerful. Killing him would be too easy. Heaven's Fate felt that it was best if nothing happened. If something happened, it would be best if Fang Ping died and not King Wu. If Fang Ping died, King Wu might not start a war. If King Wu died, in order to take revenge, that lunatic Fang Ping might start a war to kill the emperors again. Even if no one responded, that guy would not let it go. He might even stir up the 3 realms. "I hope everything is fine." Heaven's Fate sighed and said quickly, "Move the West Emperor Palace again, move it deeper." He could not stay in the 3 realms any longer. Keep running. Run deeper. The farther the better. He would be a vagrant and not mess with them. No one cared about Heaven's Fate's thoughts. At this moment, Heaven's subduing king had already met up with Wang Jinyang. When he saw Wang Jinyang, his gaze changed slightly, but he did not say much. He said, quickly, "Fang Ping has some problems. His origin is lost. He might be lost in the world behind the gate. He needs directions to leave there. Your vitality gate was broken back then. It might be useful. Go back." Wang Jinyang did not say much. He quickly understood Fang Ping's situation. It was troublesome. If he was really lost, Fang Ping might die.